Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is MTD&D, and this is the second ever one-shot that I'm running on the channel here. And hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of these. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, mostly on, well, all of it was my fault. I'll take the full blame. So I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on introductions. If you're here, you know who I am. If you don't, you will know who I am. I do want to take a moment to introduce these four amazing role players that are going to be playing with us tonight. Playing Valorian of Clan, what is it? Turnuroth? Turnuroth is Dwight. Playing Aliyah is Taylor. Isafino is played by Leo. And Luirlan is played by Alex. And this is a unique adventure that I created called Wizards at Large, Mind Over Matter. It is a world where society has been overrun by the Illithids. They have become the powers that be, the Mind Flayers, and they are repressing all magic users. Magic users and magic in general is illegal in this setting. So the four of them are playing, of course, magic users, spellcasters that have been in hiding for a year. And we're going to see what they can do to free themselves and their fellow civilians from the shackles of oppression of the Mind Flayers. So, without further ado, we are going to get into the game. Two figures in hooded cloaks move cautiously through the mist-shrouded streets of the city, melting from one shadow to another, doing their best to avoid being seen by civilians and guards alike. Moving through the narrow alleyways and spaces between the 2- and 3-story buildings, they approach a large cobblestone square with a long dried-up fountain in its center. Two large, hulking guards, armed and armored, patrol the perimeter of the square. At their sides are two hideous quadruped monstrosities that are known simply as Devourers. These grotesque beasts look like gray, pulsing masses of brain with 4 muscular legs protruding from their sides. They amble about like horrific guard dogs, though they have no discernible mouths, let alone even faces. Fortune smiles upon the pair, it would seem. The guards and their Devourers are on the far side of the square, patrolling away from them. One of the figures, the smaller of the two, touches a hand to the shoulder of the other, then points at the shadowy alleyway opposite where they stand. They raise 3 fingers and begin counting down slowly and silently to 0 before pointing suddenly across the alley. The 2 figures dart from shadow and run, crouched low and moving as quickly and quietly as they can. The smaller one reaches the alley first and turns to watch as the second approaches. With less than a dozen feet to go, they step on the edge of an upturned cobblestone. There's an audible popping sound as the figure's ankle snaps at an awkward angle and sends them sprawling. There's sudden commotion from across the courtyard as the guards and their beasts spin around. The courtyard reverberates with the sound of ringing steel as both guards pull blackened blades from their sheaths and charge toward the pair, their beasts bounding ahead of them. The smaller figure darts from the alley and her hood suddenly falls away, revealing the face of a scared but determined teenage girl. "Derek!" she cries, running to his side and helping him up. "Run!" Derek shouts, leaning heavily on her as they quickly move into the alley. Behind them, one of the Devourers slams into the wall of the alley, splintering wood and sending pieces of plaster and stone clattering to the ground. It makes no other noise except the heavy sound of its footfalls. A moment later, the other beast and the 2 guards slide into the wall on the loose stone and debris, giving chase. Derek and the girl move as quickly as they can, Derek noticeably slowed by his broken ankle. They rapidly turn down every side passage they pass, quickly changing direction, hoping to lose their pursuers in the labyrinthine corridors and alleys. The girl turns back, and she can see that Derek's face is going white and he's broken into a sweat trying to hide the pain of his injury. He manages a weak smile as they juke left down another, wider alley. The girl sees the cart laden with crates and barrels and reacts instinctively, dropping low and sliding deftly underneath. But Derek is no longer able to react so quickly. He loudly crashes into the cart, causing it to topple to its side, its contents spilling and breaking across the alleyway, entangling himself in the debris. Again, she cries out his name. He glances over his shoulder from where he lay prone and sprawled. Reaching down to his side, he unhooks a cloth bag and tosses it to her. Derek, no! Eliana, run! Now! She hesitates a moment, her eyes pleading with his. Again, he flashes a wan smile at her. One of the devourers bursts out of the alleyway and slams into him. Eliana screams as its claws immediately begin to tear at Derek's face and shoulders. She turns on her heels and sprints away, darting down another side alley. As behind her, Derek screams out a blood-choked cry that is suddenly cut short. Panting, her lungs and legs aching with the strain of her sprint, Eliana slips down another side alley and then another until she finds herself in a dead end. Without stopping or even slowing, she leaps up and grabs at the edge of the high wall that marks the end of this passage, her fingers biting into rough stone. She hauls herself up and over, dropping into a crouch on the other side. She's in a small courtyard with no exits, a space created by 4 nearby buildings whose stone edifices created this boxed-in area. She turns to her left and approaches the wall. Trying to catch her breath, she reaches up and begins tracing seemingly random patterns along the stone. As she does so, she mutters the phrase, Secreta Revelata Surat, and arcane sigils begin to glow, an electric blue flowing wherever her fingers trace. A moment later, a door is revealed in the previously blank wall. She reaches into her shirt and withdraws a silver key on a chain from around her neck and places it in the lock on the door. There's a faint click and the door opens just enough to allow her to slip into the shadow beyond. As the door closes and immediately begins to fade, there is a scrabbling sound across the way. 2 clawed paws grasp at the top edge of the wall, pulling the beast over the top. The devourer lands heavily in the small space. With barely a sound, it turns to face the now blank wall. Somewhere in the distance, a bell begins to toll. From within your hidden lair in one of the buildings in the city, you hear the magical alarm sounding that somebody has entered. Alert! 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 And for a moment you can hear from outside the sound of a tolling bell in the city. And then you hear the door slam. The magical alarm cuts out. And you hear somebody breathing heavily and seeming to be sobbing from the other room. Alex, describe for us who you are and what your reaction is.
You see a young Eladrin who's probably sitting down, and he's got a leather-bound journal out as the girl enters, and he's sort of scribbling in it. And this is his spell book. He's studying, but if you were to peer onto the other side of the spell book, or listen a little more intently as he mutters to himself under his breath as he's looking at these spells, he's actually humming notes. And he looks to be sort of drawing patterns on the page that are not inscriptions of magic, but notes of music. If this spellbook were ever to be found, it would seem like a sheet music book of sorts with different songs in it. But as this woman rushes in, he snaps the book shut and slides it into the hidden pocket that he has sort of in his coat, an inside pocket. And he reaches out his arm and says, Kaisel, to me. And a pure white owl leaps from a nearby where it was perched, a nearby coat stand or something, and comes and lands on his shoulder. And he sort of shoots a worried glance over at his friend Isafino, and makes his way towards the source of this commotion.
And describe Isafino for us, Leo.
Isafino is a man roughly in his looks like he's in his middle 30s, late 30s. He's a half elf, but he has definitely more human blood. He has a thick black beard and long, thick black hair. He's probably about 5'8", 5'9", a little taller, and he looks like he's a little bit always worried about his surroundings. He's looking around and he's paying attention to his friend because he's interested in the song he creates, but he doesn't understand it. And his thirst for knowledge as a wizard is always there, but it battles with his desire to make sure he's alert. As the intruder comes in, as the alert comes in, and his friend glances at him, he starts looking around, almost panicked.
Taylor, what about Aaliyah? Who is she, and how does she react?
Aaliyah, when she hears the alert going off, moves immediately towards the entryway, and you can see a small flame in her hand, ready. And when she sees the sobbing figure, the flame is extinguished. She's an elven woman, red-headed. You're not sure of the age.
Dwight, Valorian, who is he and how does he react?
So, in the corner farthest from anyone else, if there is one in this room, there's a tall dragonborn kind of sitting hunched at a table. He's got bluish scales, but they look almost like they're kind of grayish, almost like they're drained of color. Looks to be old, but if you were to look him in the eye, you would see young but tired eyes. He's been sitting and he's holding this tattered leather book of some sort in his hand. He glances at the door, gives a good look over the goings on as the alarm goes off, and sees the girl enter, but after a few seconds seems to realize that there's no imminent danger, and goes back to reading this leather bound book. You can just see him muttering to himself, kind of darting his eyes from side to side every once in a while as he goes back to his reading.
You all know that it is highly unlikely, that nearly impossible, that anybody other than someone with the proper sigils and the key to get in through that entryway. So while your alarm went off, you're still, for the most part, you're confident that it's somebody that belongs. The woman, or girl rather, is human. She's slight, athletic, dirty, and as you do hear her for just a brief moment sob, a couple choked sobs, and then she comes around before any of you can kind of come fully into that room. She comes around to meet you all, and she's wiping tears. There's streaks down her face through the grime that have left these sort of pink trails, exposing clean skin underneath. She holds in one hand a rough cloth sack, and she reaches down under her cloak and unhooks another sack. And I believe Luirlan was the one who first kind of jumped up and was running towards that. And she would immediately not so much throw these sacks at you, but kind of shove them into your chest. And she kind of looks up at you into your face and just says, I hope it was worth it.
Would I recognize this girl?
You probably would know of her if you don't know exactly who she is. You know that there are several people in the city that work in different areas of subterfuge, trying to strike at the enemies. And you do know that there was a team of sneak thieves that had been deployed into the warehouse district trying to find where the Illithid had apparently been storing magical items.
I don't understand. I'm sorry. What? Please tell me what happened. Remind me your name, young lady.
It's Ileana.
Ileana.
And there's Derek and Sosha and Corbin and Micah. Their names should be etched in everyone's memory for the cause. Because I am the only one that made it back from this. So I hope that what we secured for you in those bags is worth it. We were overrun almost as soon as we got in there. And she's kind of pacing and just almost like she's talking it out just because she has to get it off her chest.
Yeah, and Luirlan would take the bags. He wouldn't even pay attention to the bags right now. He would have them at his chest and just kind of sort of set them down on the ground behind him and move to comfort this girl and say, Ileana, I'm so sorry for what happened to yourself and your friends. When my fellow apprentices were murdered in an ambush by the Illithid, I feel your pain.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Look, I barely know enough magic to make the sigils to get in and out of the safe houses. But I have skills as a sneak thief, and I did my job, and I got you the best we could get you for what you need. Now you lot need to do your job and strike at them.
So Luirlan kind of looks back into the room and kind of makes eye contact with Valerian, with Aaliyah, with Isafino, and kind of sort of steals his face and nods at each one of them. What do you say? What do you say, companions?
So Valerian gets up and very slowly, you can tell that it's an effort for him to stand up out of his chair, and starts to kind of shuffle across the room, coughs a couple of times, and the leans down and picks up the bags and kind of looks in them, nods, looks at the girl and says, each does his part. We will do ours.
Well, you better. Because we keep losing people out there. What about Isafino and Aaliyah? Do either of you have anything to say to this woman or this girl?
Isafino is going to, he was standing up looking, expecting an attack from somewhere else and not from what he believes is the entrance. And as the Luirlan looks at him, he kind of shakes his head and hurrums. She's not the only one that has lost some. And just kind of walks away and waits it out.
Elias watching this play out. And when Eliana looks to her, she holds her gaze. No one's work, no one's death is in vain here. We all try. We all fight. Now it's our turn.
She kind of gives a last sniffle and seems to hold herself just a little bit taller at your words. And you would all know that Eliana is incredibly young, given what has happened in the last year. Because one of the first things that happened when the Illithid seemed to come out of nowhere and began taking over the cities, absorbing the minds of the leaders, corrupting them to their will, and systematically and quickly taking control and of the central hubs of government. Within the first 2 weeks, lots of people began to just disappear. Shop owners, tavern owners, blacksmiths, street people. But when people really began to notice was when the children started coming up missing. As young as babies, as old as 14, 15, even 16 years old. It's been nearly a year since a child has been seen in the city. Would any of you have lost a child or a loved one to kidnapping?
My parents were members of the gentry in town, and they have both disappeared.
What about Aaliyah? Did you lose anyone?
Aaliyah has a brother. Had a brother. She's not sure.
Isafino.
Isafino did not lose any family members, but had several friends that at some point attempted to strike back together as a team as part of several houses and failed miserably. And he was one of the few that survived, so he lost a lot of friends.
Llewellyn.
Llewellyn is native to the Feywild as an Eladrin, and he was on the material plane studying under his master, and he has no idea. His master was the only one who could get back and forth between planes, and he has no idea if the people back in his home plane, his hometown, are okay. If the Illithid is spread to him, he can only guess. But he's definitely a foreigner in these lands, stuck here, and so wouldn't necessarily know a lot of people.
Ileana walks over to Valorian, who had taken the bags and kind of looked at them, and I don't remember if you were holding them or set them on the table, but in either case, she would take the bags and reach into them. And Valorian, roll me a d4.
2.
Actually, everybody roll me a d4 and tell me what you got.
I got a 1.
2.
4.
She reaches into the bag, and the first thing she pulls out is a greenish cloak embroidered with gold, with a very subtle pattern of leaves along the hem. And she kind of looks around, and she just seems to know as she tosses this bundled cloak to Aaliyah, the cloak of elven kind. She reaches into another bag and pulls out another cloak. This one seeming to almost, depending on how the light catches it, almost looks like shimmering stone or steel, though it's clearly just cloth. And she tosses the cloak to Llewellyn. It is a cloak of protection. She reaches in again and pulls out a book, a leather-bound tome with half a dozen bookmarks of different colors emerging from the rough-cut edges of the pages. A buckle, a leather strap and buckle wraps around it, keeping this book closed. And she looks to you, Valorian, and then she goes, nah, and hands it over to Isafino. It is an enduring spell book. And last, she reaches in and she kind of digs around, reaching up almost to her shoulder, and then she pulls out a ring and flips it like a coin to you, Valorian. And that is a ring of animal influence. We did the best we could. We tried to get everything on the lists that have been going around from the different groups. And, well, as I said, they seemed to almost know we were there, or that we were coming. And so we pretty much had to do a smash and grab. So you're lucky you got these items. And then she kind of gives the bag the other bag, the one she was carrying. She gives it a bit of a shake. And then she goes, wait a minute. And she reaches in. And she digs into her shoulder. And then she sets it on the table. And she kind of leans in impossibly, even though the bag lays flat. She leans in up to her waist, disappearing into this bag. And then you hear some kind of muffled, here we go. And then she pulls herself out and 2 glass bottles. They are about 8 inches tall, and they have a shimmering red liquid in them, and seems to just kind of pulse and glow slightly. And she sets them on the table. And they are 2 potions of greater healing. And then she goes, well, you might as well keep the bag too. So you guys also have a bag of holding amongst you.
You did well. Thank you.
Let's just hope you will do as well. So, what's your plan?
Isafino looks surprised when he gets the book and just turns it around and flips it a couple of times and looks at it and looks at the girl for the first time like he actually cares that she's here, and says, thank you for this. And he looks at the others. I don't know what the plan is right now, but this will come a long way to help us figure it out.
Aaliyah takes the 2 glass bottles and puts them back in the bag, and then cinches it closed, ties it to the belt on her waist. When are we going?
Kaisel and I are ready. But I agree. A strong plan will be important for our mission success. We need to strike at these Illithid where it will hurt them the most.
Valorian just breaks into a coughing fit, kind of leans against the table, and then sits down in the chair and says, I'll need a minute first.
I'm going to look at the girl again and say, do you have contact with the others, the other groups?
I haven't seen anyone since I left with my team to the warehouses. But if need be, I can get out and contact any of our operatives on the streets.
We need to coordinate with them. If we are going to do an attack, we have to make sure we all do it together.
Alert! 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 An alarm, another magical alarm begins sounding from another room. One of the protected rooms that has been designated for teleportation arrivals.
Do these alarms sound every time someone comes in, friend or foe?
Yes. They're designed that any time somebody enters a room to sound off.
What are we expecting anybody? All right, let's go. I'm gonna go to toast the room.
You hear from 2 rooms away. You hear muffled sounds of. They're really hard to describe. They almost sound like roars, and what sounds like the faint echoes of an explosion reverberating in the distance. You hear somebody kind of just muffled. You hear, "Come, we gotta get in. No, come!" Ah!
I cast Mage Armor.
All right.
And start moving towards the sound. Throwing the cloak over my back as I walk.
Yeah, I also cast Mage Armor.
What's that bump you up to, Dwight?
13. Sorry.
Is everybody moving towards the sound? Or just these 2?
Yeah, I'm going.
I'm gonna slow down as I hear the problem, and as Lornan passes me, I fall in step with him.
So, as you round into this room, and Eliana kind of follows behind all of you, you see a middle-aged female wizard crouched next to an open magical portal. And there's another person, another woman, halfway through the portal. And they are covered in... their robes are smoldering and blackened. The female wizard is older. And looks like most of her hair and her eyebrows have been singed away. The wizard, the female laying on the ground... halfway through the portal, does not appear to be conscious at the moment. And this older wizard is trying with all her might to pull. Through the open portal, you can see what just looks like a maelstrom of fire in some sort of building. And there's dark shadows moving on the other side of the fire and smoke. As this woman struggles, come on, Opal! And she's trying, and she's not able to pull this figure through on her own.
Llewellyn rushes to her aid.
All right. So you start helping her pull this figure.
Absolutely.
Immediately, the smell of burnt cloth and flesh and hair, and just general fire. Even smoke is seeping through this open portal as you grab this person and begin to pull. Give me a strength check. If anybody else comes in to help, you can do so with advantage.
Is anybody helping me?
I'll come in to help.
That's a 16.
So you start pulling on the figure, and it's really like just from the armpits up was what was through the portal. And the woman is heavy. She's a little bit more of a heavy set woman. More like she's stocky. But completely dead weight because she's unconscious. And as you start to struggle, you find that she's just so hard to pull. And then Aaliyah comes in, and you feel her start to move a little bit. And that's when you see this tentacle, this grotesque purple tentacle, come in through the portal and start to wrap itself around her waist and begin to pull. And another tentacle comes in and oh snap, it swings across and smacks the elder wizard woman in the face. And when it does so, she loses her concentration on the portal, and the magical gate slams shut. All of the sound of the fire and the chaos beyond immediately goes away. In the aftermath, you see 2 severed tentacles and the upper torso of the heavyset unconscious woman lying on the floor. As it suddenly, you kind of fall backwards as half of her weight is now gone, as she's been cut in two from the closing portal. The older wizard just begins sobbing uncontrollably and just like shaking at the lapels of the robes of this unconscious woman, trying in vain to rouse her.
Do we know who these people are?
I think you would know who both of them are. They are the older wizard, who is alive still, is Telferia. And the woman on the ground is a sorcerer named Opal. It was Telferia's wife. They were leaders of one of the primary factions of the resistance, almost always at the forefront of incursions against the Illithid.
I'm going to lean beside her and kind of grab her and say, Telferia, what happened? Are you all right?
It was not supposed to happen this way. Opal.
I look at Opal. Is there any chance at all? Or is she pretty much cut in half?
She is, like, from her midsection down is just gone. And it's, fortunately perhaps, she was magically cauterized. So there's no real like gore or blood. But she's clearly dead.
As Lurlan was kind of pulling the body in and just sort of like with all his might, and then all of a sudden was released, he sort of tumbled backwards and just took a few steps back and like just placed himself against the wall, just shock on his face. Completely mute by this for a minute, just sort of staring, eyes wide.
So as Valorian takes all this in, he just kind of slinks back into his chair and he reaches into his shirt pocket and he pulls out this little wooden box, opens it up, and it starts playing this janky little tune. You see him; he just starts kind of rocking back and forth and whispering to himself, listening to this janky music box.
I'm gonna continue to try to, as I'm looking at Opal, realizing there's nothing we can do, and my skin goes pale. I look back at Telferia, trying to compose myself, and tell her, Telferia, I know this is bad, but are we compromised?
I don't think so. She looks around and she sees the severed tentacles And she looks around at all of you. She looks beyond you at Eliana. She looks over at Valorian playing the music box. No. I think you're still good, but they're aware now. We should not have gone in alone. But we knew the library. We thought for sure that we could get in without a problem. Look, she kind of pushes herself up to her feet, and she won't look at what's left of Opal on the floor. We've been monitoring the Illithid in the city center for the last several weeks. And we think we found that the library could be a central location for their powers. It may even be the source of the core of their hive mind. It was the library, the great library. We've all been to the library. We all know it like the backs of our hands.
It was foolish. If you think it is the source of a hive mind, what possessed you to go alone?
Opal was convinced that we could teleport in undercover between the stacks. And then under cover of invisibility, perhaps monitor what they were doing and then just pop out of there. But...
How did they find you?
It was Opal. She hasn't had a wild surge like this in months. But of all the times for a wild magic surge, it was the worst that could have happened.
Did we know she was a wild mage?
I don't know. I think you would have known that she was a sorcerer, but probably not that she was a wild sorcerer. No, she. As soon as we teleported in, the shelves and the books burst into flame as a fireball spell. It just came from Opal. I was able to react very quickly and throw up a couple spells of protection and open the teleportation, but they came at us as soon as they knew we were there. I'm sorry, but I don't know how many of them. But they know that we are actively after them now.
And they know someone was at the library.
Well, Ileana has made our job considerably easier. It seems you and Opal have unwillingly done the opposite. But, Ileana, you said that Derek, Sosha, Corbin, and Micah were all taken. I fear that the Illithid, if they consumed their thoughts the way they have so many others, would they know the location of this entrance? They gain our memories when they devour us. Would they know the magic sigils that allow entrance?
Loreline.
Would they have taken the keys?
Loreline, you know the answer.
Derek.
We fought them long enough.
But my team were not captured by Illithid. They were torn to shreds by the Devourers. I saw them all ripped to pieces. Even Derek, as I barely made it here, was torn apart by one of them. I don't believe they were feasting on their brains. I did not see any of the... I
want an insight checker.
Go ahead.
I know that the Illithid dominate people and all this crazy stuff, and I want to try to figure out. I don't trust anyone at this point.
Okay.
I agree.
My insight is 17.
As far as you can tell, she believes what she's saying.
All right. He calms down a little, breathes heavily, and says, well, if what you say is true, Telfaria, we must act soon. You've been our leader, and a fantastic leader at that. You've kept us as safe as you possibly can. What would you suggest we do? We have newfound power, we are well rested, and we are ready for action.
She turns for the first time to look at her deceased spouse, Opal, on the floor. They will not expect an attack immediately. My guess is, from what we've seen, they will be sending their thralls out into the city if they themselves are not also searching, looking for insurgents. I suggest you strike now at the library. If it is true, if it is the source of their hive mind, we can strike a blow such as not been struck since they took over our city.
Won't they be ready for us now?
So Valorian stands up and he loudly snaps the lid back on the on his music box. He grabs his staff and he kind of pushes himself up out of his chair and reaches up to full height. Just starts to laugh, this kind of wheezy, sickly laugh. We're all going to die anyways. Might as well be now. Starts to stomp his staff on the ground. Just keeps laughing to himself. Starts to edge towards the room where the portal was.
Isavuna, I think that they might be at their weakest now. If they are spread out, searching, why not attack?
I agree. The Illithid have many strengths, but arrogance is one of their weaknesses. They believe themselves invulnerable. They have no fear of an attack. They simply want to find the traitors. They would devote most of their energy to searching and less to protecting. That may be their downfall.
Telfaria, was it just you and Opal?
Yes, it was just us. She flexes her fist, and you can see the familiar crackling of arcane energy. I am strong enough to send you back there if you will go now. Unless you want a chance maneuvering through the streets. As you know, the library is about a mile from here.
I am ready.
Will you not come with us, Telfaria?
I have to see to Opal, and I am not strong enough. And you can see, as I said, she's pretty burned, and a lot of her hair singed away, parts of her robes from the fireball. I will take you there. And if you can get word to me, I will be here. I will not go anywhere.
Telfaria, this is madness, but you think this is the way? We followed you this far, despite your mistake. And while I don't share the pessimism of our mutual blue friend, so let's do this.
Is there any sort of weakness that you would know about to the Elder Brain? Any leverage we could use against it? Their hive mind, these Illithid's hive minds are typically very difficult to kill.
We did not get a look at it. We don't even know for sure if it's there. But we know that something is there. Which leads us to believe that they are protecting possibly this elder brain.
Just the four of us then?
It is possible that others could come to your aid, but
Can you work on that then? Alferia.
I will see what I can do. And you hear from the other side of the room, Eliana speaks up. I will go with you. I may not have the magics that you have, but I have sword and bow. And I want to kill as many of them tentacle-faced bastards as I can.
Then come with us, you shall.
Are you ready then? Telferia says.
Eliana, do you need anything before we go?
I do not.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Mage Armor now. Ileana, you don't have any quick way to contact the other cells? I think now that we have a target, we should focus our strength there.
She says, I don't. I can either go with you. I can either go with you and back you up with sword and bow, or I can try to rouse some support from the other cells. It is your call.
I look at the others. What do you think?
I agree with Valorian. You should choose.
Eliana, you're exhausted from running from these Illithid. You've just come out of another mission. And I would hate myself if I let you come along and your exhaustion and your...
Lurilan, let her decide.
I don't wish bravery and a quick desire to act to make your choice for you, Ileana. Clearly, uniting the others makes more sense, but I will agree with Alia on this.
I would like Isafino and Lurilan to make persuasion checks.
21 for Isafino.
You're muted, Alex. You're still muted. You can't hear
18
you. Oh,
for
there we go.
Lurilan.
You could see that she was looking to, string her bow, checking her quiver, checking her, kind of cinching her sword belt. And as you guys both seem to kind of lean towards her, taking a more cautious approach, she looks to Aaliyah, who has insisted that it's her choice. And she begins to unstring her bow. And she says, I have decided I will stay here with Talfiria and help her and see what I can do to rouse support for you at the library. And then she kind of seems almost like to convince herself as she turns away and says, yes, that is the smartest thing to do.
Talfiria, after this teleportation spell, are you able to teleport again? How long will it take, if so?
I can only teleport in and out It's going to be at least an hour or two. I may be able to scrounge up a teleportation scroll, but with my own magics, I can get you in and get out myself immediately. And she kind of looks down at Opal and she says, "None of you are wild sorcerers, are you?"
This would be the wrong time to admit it anyways. Let's go.
She looks at you and says, "All right." And she mutters an arcane word. And instantly that smell of singed books and cloth and flesh comes back to you. You are surrounded in shadow as you appear in the library up on one of the balconies overlooking the main floor, where you can see exactly where in the middle of the stacks Telferia and Opal previously teleported, because all of the stacks are just exploded outward. Books and shelves still smoldering, small pockets of flame still going. You see no sign of the remnants of Opal or whatever lost its tentacles in the portal. You don't see any movement immediately. Telferia quickly looks around, whispers, "May any gods that you worship be with you, and all the fortunes smile upon you." And she mutters another arcane word, and is gone. And you are left in the shadows of the upper stacks of the library. What would you like to do?
Let's look around. What do we see?
Yeah, I'd like to look and see if there are any sort of doorways that seem larger than others. I'm going to assume that these Illithids, because they are rather arrogant, would pick a central location.
So all of you are familiar with the Great Library in the city. Well, I would imagine you're familiar. I don't want to say whether or not you're studious. But if... Let me ask you this, rather than tell you that you're familiar with it. Are you all familiar with the library? Would you have, prior to the invasion, spent much time there? Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely.
Is there anybody that wouldn't?
It's been years since I spent time in the library. I while I'm from the area, Valorian spent many years as a hermit, and wandering prior to the invasion, only coming back after.
So, I think everybody would have enough familiarity, and a library like this doesn't change much. So even over years, you wouldn't necessarily know what all the rooms and antechambers go to, but you have a very large central room with 3 levels rising with high vaulted ceilings. There's actually a domed ceiling at the top of glass that late afternoon light pours in through. You are on the 3rd tier looking down over the central floor. There's an area at the far side where on the sides of the main library floor are where the entrances are from outside. There's kind of a main desk area where the librarians would be. And then rising behind that, and there's also behind that, there's an area of like tables and leather chairs, things like that, where people go to study. And then behind there is an elevated stairway with a large doorway, and then 2 stairs cases that come down to the sides. And then there's a few doorways on every level that go off into study rooms. There's archives, things like that.
Can we see or sense any kind of movement in the area? Oh.
At first, you don't see anything. The library seems abandoned, where before there would have been wizards and other academians studying in here. It's eerily silent. And then you are able to catch on the second and first tiers up above the main floor. You see humanoid figures wearing blackened armor patrolling. Some are humans, some are half-orc, male and female. All told, you probably see about a half a dozen.
And is this on the same, you say we're on the second level?
You're on the third level, the highest
level.
tier.
But
Kind of in a
Just,
corner.
To clarify, the 3 levels, there's no like floors between them, right? Like if you're on the bottom, you could see this dome at the top. Like there's a central sort of shaft where.
Yeah, basically the central floor of the library is open to
and
view.
then it's like halls on the outside
So
walls.
it's like balconies around.
Yeah, basically like balconies, but they do at intervals they kind of extend back into alcoves and study areas. But where you're at in the corner, you have a clear view of almost everything except for what's below you immediately.
Right. Do any of you have any sort of disguise that we might use to maneuver around this hospital undetected?
I can alter my appearance, but I do not know if that will do anything. I don't know what magics they use to understand one another, if they're all connected to a hive mind.
Well, at least these orcs and humans that we see marching around now could be fooled.
Perhaps.
I can turn invisible, but
You hear below you, immediately below where you are in the balcony, you hear heavy footfalls and the slight metallic shifting of armor as one of these guards is patrolling immediately below where you are. Towards the front of the library, where it kind of... So, like, these balconies aren't a full square, they're more U-shaped, are where the stairs that lead... They're spiral stairs that lead down to each subsequent level. And these footsteps are moving away from where you are in... we'll say that the entrance, just for ease of navigation, is at the north. And you guys are in the southeast corner. So north of you, about 100 yards, or 100 feet, would be the stairway that goes down to the next level. And the footsteps seem to be leading in that direction below you.
One set of footsteps?
Give me a perception check.
13.
Can't tell. At least one.
Disguise yourselves or hide. And I'm going to try to hide.
What are you going to do to hide?
I mean, there's bookshelves and stuff everywhere, right? I just duck behind a bookshelf.
Okay.
So I have the ability to cast the darkness spell. that would cover a 15-foot area. So I'll turn and just kind of motion quietly for everybody to kind of move into one of the corners behind the books. And then I have the ability to cast it onto an object that I'm holding. So I pull out my music box and I cast darkness onto that music box, and it creates a sphere of darkness that surrounds us in a 15-foot radius.
How close are we to the nearest patrol, do we think?
It might be coming up the stairs that are 100 feet away.
Okay.
So you can't see the look Aaliyah gives you, but you can hear the sigh. She goes, "Do you not think they will understand that this is magical darkness? What good does it do us?"
It fools the humans and the orcs.
The ones who know that magic has been outlawed? If you wish to leave your darkness here as a distraction, we could do that. However, I do not recommend hiding in it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, should I then make us invisible quickly then? It will take my spells of the third circle, but I think it's worth it.
It would be nice to be able to maneuver around undetected for a little while.
I'm gonna cast invisibility then as a third level spell for me and Lurlan, and then I'm gonna not for me and Lurlan, sorry, for Aaliyah and Lurlan. Is this a concentration? Oh, this is the problem. This is the problem. 5e. Give me a second. I can only do it for 2 of us.
Do it for yourself.
And
I have my own methods.
Lurlan?
I have nothing to disguise myself. If I could be invisible, it would be a great help.
Valoran?
Valorian,
I'm fine.
are you going to stay in your darkness, or are you going to leave it and go elsewhere?
When he casts darkness, is it like a sphere of that's like the size of a visible barrier, like something that's clearly magical, or does it look more like the darkness sort of intensifies in that corner and it just looks kind of dark there, but it could be magical? Like, is this something that anybody would just see and immediately know there's a huge sphere of magical darkness here?
Typically, go ahead, Dwight.
Well, I would say the intent of this was to have it in the back in the corner of the stack of books where we originated.
Yeah, that's sort of how I imagined it.
Out of the way, just to keep us out of sight. Yeah, if you were to walk up on it and look at it, it would look very out of place.
So
this was.
I'm going to say, because I kind of figured that was your intent, I'm going to say that the corner that you were teleported into, that you're in now, was already shrouded in shadow.
Okay, good.
That casting the darkness does seem to sort of extend that shadow, that from a distance one may not notice that there's a sphere of darkness there, but it probably won't hold up to close inspection.
Wait, so Isafino, are we invisible?
I'm going to go ahead and cast invisibility on myself and Lurlan, yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
You hear the ringing sound of heavy footsteps on metal stairs at the far end of where you are at on the balcony.
How far away? Like, does it sound like it's coming towards us?
You can't really tell. Well, actually, give me a perception check. We'll see if you can tell.
21.
You can tell that it sounds as if somebody is ascending the stairs at the end and will be coming up to your level in any second now.
So, where are we trying to go?
Hide.
Luirlan is going to make his way around. So you said we were on the southeast corner.
Uh-huh.
So he's going to make his way around to like the west side of the building. And so you said like if we look up close at the darkness that it might not hold, but from a distance you wouldn't be able to see anything. So his idea is, since he's invisible, to maybe cause some kind of a diversion. So the guards
exactly
would like go over, like check over that area and not necessarily go as close to the darkness, so he won't be able to see the problem.
So I'll tell Valorian, hide. We'll cause a commotion somewhere. And I'm going to get about where Lorlan is going towards as well, but maybe 30 feet away from him.
Which way were you going, Lorlan?
I went to the west hall, like the west end of the balcony.
And where are you, Aaliyah?
Aaliyah, for now, is next to Valorian. And she whispers to him and says, "We can stay here for now, but we must find the source."
So
I don't want to stay here. I don't know where to go.
Until the patrol passes.
So you guys are inside the darkness right now?
That's
correct.
The plan.
Okay. So you don't see this. You only are relying on what you can hear.
Oh, I can see through the darkness. Yeah, I'm able to see through it since I cast it.
Can you?
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
I don't.
I'm able to
spend 2 sorcery points or something for that.
Let's see here. Oh, maybe I read that wrong. Hold on. Nope. Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was just reading through it too. Yeah, nobody can see through it. No dark vision doesn't work, and non-magical light will not illuminate it. So you can only hear the sounds of footsteps coming up the stairs, and then you hear that change in tone as they move from the metal stairs to the there's like rugs that run along the wood planks of the flooring here, so you can hear that, and it seems to be approaching toward where you are. Isafino and Lurlan, you can see 2 large humans clad in dark armor come up the stairs and begin moving toward the corner where Aaliyah and Valorian are. They're about 100 feet from the corner. So it's at this rate only going to take them, not very much time to get to that corner.
All right. Are there like tables here that would have like sort of items on it, like candles or like an inkwell or like sort of common things that are just lying around?
There would be unlit, as nobody's been using the library really, there's unlit hooded lanterns. As well as anybody that open candle flame is not permitted in the library.
Right. That makes sense.
And there would be inkwells and things like that. Basically, there's these alcoves that have study nooks, tables, and things like that. There's, of course, books everywhere.
All right. Lurlan doesn't really want to grab a book and throw it. That kind of goes against his wizardry apprenticeship. And so he will reach for one of these hooded lanterns. And what he's going to do is try to toss it down on the level below. So he wants to like make a noise or something that will cause the guards to basically turn back and go back down the stairs.
Okay. I'm going to have you make a ranged attack, or just basically roll and add your dexterity.
All right.
And
19 plus 3. 22.
Okay. So, what does this look like?
So if at all, I basically grab a lantern, and I don't really know if that disappears when I pick it up. Probably not.
It does not.
So I guess it just sort of looks like a lantern floating. So I kind of wait for a moment where the guards aren't looking, grab the lantern, lean over the railing, and toss it as hard as I can towards the north wall. So I want it to basically arc from the third floor, go north, and land basically at like towards where the stairwell is, or somewhere on that wall, so that the guards will hear it and turn back around and go back the way they came.
Okay. Yeah, so you clearly are able to get it to go flying across into the open area. You throw it as hard as you can, and it sails through the air surprisingly far. It hits the wooden planks down below with a loud metallic clattering sound, and you hear glass breaking from inside the lantern. Valorian and Aaliyah, you don't know what just happened, but you just hear this sudden crash far down below you. And Laurelan and Isafino, you can see as these two hulking humans immediately turn and look in that direction. And they kind of lean over the rail and they're looking. They don't say anything, but you see from down below, you see two more guards come out, and you see two of these what look like the size of a large dog, gray pulsing brain matter with four muscular legs coming out. And they kind of move toward, and the devourers move immediately to where the lantern is and kind of circle around it. They seem almost like, even though they don't have faces, it's almost like they're sniffing it. And the two guards on your level begin moving back to the stairs and heading down.
I whisper to Isafino, do you know if the brain things, can they see us even though we're invisible?
I need to roll something for that.
That would be give me a nature.
Ooh, nature. It's never good. That is a natural one.
Yeah, you don't know anything.
I have no idea.
All that Aaliyah and Valorian can hear is the sound of the guards suddenly retreating down the stairs, and you hear it sounds like they're going further down the stairs than even the level right below you.
So looking around quickly, do we see anything that would give us an idea of where this large entity could be? Because Talferia said that teleporting here somehow gave her the insight, since the wild magic apparently happened as soon as they got in. What do I roll to figure that out?
You're trying to figure out where.
Well, Talferia, correct me if I'm wrong, teleported in here. The wild surge happened, right?
Yep.
But she somehow discerned that this was a big deal.
Well, they had been studying the location. She said that they had been studying it for a few weeks, monitoring the activity around the library, or monitoring the activity of the Illithid, and had determined that their activity was centered around the library. They were teleporting in to investigate,
Okay.
And that's when Opal's wild magic went off.
Okay, so they never actually reconned it enough to figure it out.
No, they basically teleported in, blew the place up, and showed up on your doorstep.
As someone who spent probably a good deal of time in the library, because I was an apprentice here in the city to a powerful mage, so I'm sure we spent a lot of time hanging out in the library and studying. Would I know if there were sort of any underground areas besides these 3 floors that are built above ground?
I think anybody, the only one that may not know for sure about this would probably be Valorian. And it would just be a matter of whether or not he remembered it. But a lot of the more valuable books and scrolls are kept in vaults below ground, because they have magical climate control and things like that can protect them.
Yeah.
And
so I would whisper. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say it's not uncommon for a lot of the larger buildings in the city to have more than just cellars. some of the big buildings like this would have that kind of area and probably even have a sub-cellar.
Mm-hmm. So I would sort of whisper to Isafino, I feel like a building made out of wood like this, if they kept their hive mind on the third floor here, it would be subject to the building burning down and all sorts of terrible things that could happen. If I were the Illithid, I would keep the Elder Brain underground where it's safer and more secretive. I think we should attempt to make our way down to the lower levels in our search.
Let's do it quickly while these things are
distracted. I agree.
I'm gonna move over to the shadow then.
There's a conversation happening inside the shadow. Leah whispering to Valorian. She goes, I know this library. I've been here forever. Many times. If I were hiding an Elder Brain, I'd hide it down in the basements. That's where we should go.
It's like a weird split screen where the same conversations are happening. One in the darkness and one apparently in an empty library level from two invisible people.
All right, we make our way back to the darkness and say, the guards are distracted. Let's move now.
Let's go.
So I'll grab I reach over to where I set the box and I pick it up and I dispel the darkness spell.
And you can see again.
So there's 2 stairways around this thing to go down.
There's at each of the far corners of the balcony are where the stairs are. So about 100 feet away is the stairs that these guards had initially come up.
So
we're going to go down different stairs.
Yeah, we're going to go to the other set.
All right, so you would make your way west and then north on that far side. I just need a stealth check from everybody.
Do we roll it even though we're invisible?
No, sorry. Isafino and Luralan, you do not need to roll it.
I rolled a 5.
Classic Dragonborn move.
I'm a big sick dragon.
It's a coughing fit.
What about you, Aaliyah?
23. Can I make up for him? Well, Aaliyah's got that nice cloak on with the kind of gold leaves. And she's gone ahead and pulled the hood up. And she's almost making no noise as she goes across.
And I would say that with that high of a roll, I see it almost like just the dust in the air because nobody's been overseeing this library, and plus all the smoke and just it's for an asthmatic dragonborn, it's a nightmare of a place to be. But Aaliyah, as you're moving silently, you see that Valorian looks like he's about to be overtaken by this dust. What do you do to kind of silence him?
She sees him, and I mean, she's been cooped up with this kind of grumpy dragonborn for a while, but she just goes up and like literally puts her hands on his face. No, don't you dare.
I think he's able to hold it in. So
I was gonna say, I think it's almost like that where you kind of just get that, just the real subtle like, and the 4 of you are able to make it to the stairwell. Now, you do, Isafino and Luralan, need to make stealth checks as you move down the stairs.
Okay.
This is a metal spiral staircase, so I need a stealth check from everybody again.
Natural 1.
Oh my gosh.
14 for me.
So
Aaliyah?
I had
21.
I don't know if you can see that or not. But
Oh, yeah.
There he goes.
Nice.
Oh, there we go.
So the majority of the party. So I'm doing this kind of on cumulative, not everybody succeeds, but one person screws up. So overall, you guys are able to kind of move down the stairs without rousing any sound. You are now on the second tier of balconies. You can look to the north and see below you where there are now the 4 humans and the 2 devourers are silently looking around in the stacks. Depends on the spell.
No, I think it's any spell. Yep, looking at invisibility, it says the spell ends for a target that attacks or casts a spell. So any spell.
Oh yeah, you're right.
This is 5.
Yes.
Yeah, 3.5 had the other.
Yeah. If you cast or do anything like that, you're going to break your invisibility.
Any spell.
Good to know.
So, and
I mean,
that's
you
that's
can
something
open
you would
doors
know.
apparently all day and do everything.
Yeah, Alex
Yeah.
doesn't know
Yeah,
that.
attack
Caroline would
or
probably.
cast spells.
No,
Everything else you can
the
do.
spellcaster knows that. So, you can continue down because the spiral staircase continues downward, or you can maneuver around this U-shaped balcony back to the south and around to the other side.
Just keep going down, right?
Yeah, down.
So if we keep going down, does this end at the side that Lurlan threw the thing, or this ends at the other
No,
side?
if you go all the way down to the floor level, you will be about, we'll say probably about 50 feet away from where the lantern smashed on the floor. But they've kind of spread out and are kind of shifting through the stacks right now.
So they're in the bottom floor shifting to the stacks.
Yes.
All right, so we need to do another one.
So I need, if you're going to go all the way to the bottom, I need a stealth check for each stair descent.
So one more, right?
You're on the second level. You've
So
got to
to
go
the
to the
bottom
first
level.
level, then the base level.
Before we go to the base level, is that the way into the basement from the base level? Is there a side entry from another floor that goes down all the way, or that we know of?
It would be through the base level
Okay.
at the back of the library.
There's
So
no
kind of like
second,
below
servants.
where those, on the south side where those balconies are, it would be in one of the corners, or each corner actually, you would know that there would be stone stairways that lead down to the basement level.
Okay.
So how'd everybody do
12.
on your first stealth?
12 for Safino.
18.
Nice.
9.
10.
All right. 18, 12, 10, 9.
You're supposed to roll 11, Valorian.
The 4 of you, it's surprisingly at this point Valorian that's being the most quiet. But I think Valorian and Aaliyah have the disadvantage of not being able to see exactly where Isafino and Lurlan are. And you kind of bump into one, causing the next one, you hit into them, and nobody falls or anything, but you do that thing where somebody's foot slips and they kind of drop with their full weight onto the next step. And there's a metallic ringing through the area. And you can see on the far side, furthest away from you, you can see 2 of the humans and one of the devourers stop and turn and start to look towards you.
Is there anything in the area to hide for the 2 that can be seen?
There's bookshelves and an alcove about 15 feet away. Are Isafino and Lurlan just going to kind of freeze where you are, invisible?
Yes.
I'm actually going to start moving towards the alcove and say, over here.
All right, I follow.
Since they can't see me.
Right.
They can't point.
Aaliyah, Valorian.
So they're looking right at us, like they can.
They're
like,
looking in that direction. They don't know exactly where it came, but they basically stopped and turned, and they're starting to kind of do that thing where you're going. So.
And you said
Like
that
if
the
this were
nearest.
Skyrim, the eye on the screen would be like sort of
There we
kind of open,
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Got it. Mhm. I guess I'm just gonna, as quietly as possible, try and like slowly do that kind of like back out of the room kind of thing, where I slowly try to make my way to.
What kind of a staircase is it? What kind of banister does it have?
Oh no.
It's metal. I mean, it's a spiral, one of those metal spiraling staircase.
How big are the like prongs on it? If we crouch down below the railing.
Oh, you mean like the vertical?
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm not going to make that motion. The vertical. These things. What are they called? I know what you mean. So
Yeah.
Pencils?
yeah.
On the
You want to
railing.
know if you can hide behind them.
Yes.
I'm gonna say that they are thicker. They're ornate wood that kind of comes up, and it has like maybe a couple of holes where it kind of comes up and around. So there's very thin slats between them. So if you ducked down, you would disappear from view.
Aaliyah ducks down and she like tugs on Valorian to bring him down as well. She goes, freeze. They might not know where we are. Movement could give us away.
All right, let's see. Lurelon and Isafino, if you didn't duck down, you can see that all the two humans and the devourer are all moving deliberately towards the staircase.
They're gonna see him.
So so what is the belief that they're going to see him? Is it pretty much 100% if they get close, or what's the?
Well, they're hidden
not
from
invisible.
view
Yeah, but
behind the
they're-
banister, basically the railing and the but they seem to know where the sound came from.
We're gonna have to. All right, so I can't speak out loud.
Yeah, I mean, if we say anything, they're gonna know we're here.
And it's
How
only
many-
going to take them less than 30 seconds to get to the stairs and start climbing them.
How many people are we talking about total on the bad guy team?
You've
That we
seen,
counted.
you have positive ID on 4 humanoids and 2 devourers.
So there, are there any? There's books all over this floor, correct?
Yes, you're in a library.
And in
So
turn,
yeah. So I just but like they're all around where we are, right? Like within.
Yes,
15
there's shelves pretty much
feet or so.
everywhere with
Okay.
different kinds of books and
So what I want to do is I want to kind of wait until they've gotten a little bit closer to us, but then I want to use Mage Hand to try and push some books off of a shelf,
Nice.
about 30 feet opposite of where we are.
Should have cast that before I was invisible.
Okay, what's the range on Mage Hand?
30 feet.
It is 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you would either have to try to target something down below you on the main level,
Okay.
or on the same level you're on, which means they would have to come up the stairs to get to whatever that sound is.
So they're below us, right?
Yes.
oh, they're below us.
Yeah, you guys aren't down yet. You only made it down. You only made it to one of the.
So
well,
we're at floor
two
one
of
at
the
their base level,
staircases.
right?
Yeah, you guys are basically now one level above them on the base level.
Okay. But they're coming from the other staircase towards the staircase where we are. Is that
They
what-
were on the floor looking through the stacks, and
Okay.
when they heard the sound, they're now moving directly towards you.
But underneath us.
But underneath us. So what I'm trying
Yes.
to do, I want to knock some books down on the floor where they are. If they're below us, I want to try and draw them away so that we can get to the other side staircase.
Okay.
So if they're below me, then I would say as far as I can get from 30 feet, I want to just try and draw their attention.
You have enough time with where they're at that I'll say you could get 60 feet away.
Okay.
And then you're going to try to go another 30 feet with the mage hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I'm just trying to draw them as far away from us as I can.
So, yeah, so you're able to do that. And what does it look like? What do you do exactly with the mage hand?
I conjure a scaly blue hand that pushes some books off of a shelf downstairs.
So literally just like...
Yeah, I mean, there's no thought in it at all. This is just,
okay.
I'm trying furiously to get them off of our scent. So,
all right. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, +2. I want you to roll deception. So I have something to contest here.
11.
The devourer actually turns away and just starts running towards that far side. So I imagine it's kind of where you push the books is on the south wall, and it just starts darting off that way. The two humans kind of look that way and still head towards the stairs. And enough time has passed now that they're able to get to the base of the stairs and start climbing.
So the humans are still coming up?
Yep.
But we've started moving. Did we move away from the stairs or no?
You did. I don't know if anybody else went.
Okay.
Luirlan and Isafino were moving towards the alcove last we spoke.
Correct.
I think
Right,
when Aaliyah hears the steps on the stairs and kind of feels the vibrations, still crouching as best she can, she'll move over towards that alcove where she heard Isafino's whisper.
How far is that from the base of the stairs?
The alcove?
Yeah.
It's close enough now that just as Aaliyah gets into the alcove, the two humanoids are coming up the stairs into view.
And there's no doors or anything in the outside, right? It's just a.
Nope, not on this level.
All right.
Wait, but the alcove, like if it's a study room, would it have a door to it?
No, it's basically like you have bookshelves, and then there's a gap where there's like an arched opening, and then an alcove. And in fact, some of them are almost like connected. I tried desperately to find battle maps that would have portrayed this better.
So there's no real way to hide behind a column in the alcove then. It's not like 3 alcoves are connected, there's columns in between.
Nope. Well, I mean, you could hide behind the opposite wall where the shelves are. But if they come into the alcove, you know that they're going to see you.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so yeah.
Well, you're invisible, so they're not going to see you.
There's a good ambush point, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point, these guys are on to us. We just have to ambush them and take them out. I mean, we should just ambush them and take them out.
Loreline.
As soon as they come into the alcove.
Loreline, stay in the alcove, Aaliyah. Hide as best as you can. We're going to have to ambush these two, I agree.
Yeah, so Aaliyah pulls herself into the shadow as best she can.
I'm going to try to move into a position that gives me some ability to flank if they move inside the alcove. To be behind them, basically, since I'm invisible anyways.
So what we're going to do is we're going to roll for initiative.
All right.
You guys all have surprise, so you're going to get, regardless of initiative order, you're going to move in your individual initiative order before anything else can take a turn.
Or so they are definitely coming to the alcove.
Oh, they're definitely coming up the stairs, and the alcove is the first thing in their path.
Got it.
So, everybody roll for initiative. I need to bring something up real quick.
No bueno. Look, I have a ton.
I love having D&D Beyond.
That's what I'm using too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I mean, I still have like 3 books next to me, but...
Yeah, I have like 4 tabs with different books open too.
All right, so I got Aaliyah's initiative.
I got 12 first.
19 for Luirlan.
19.
3.
12. 3. You need new dice, Dwight.
Hey, I rolled a 20.
Sure does.
7.
And then
That's what I rolled, Aaliyah. 7. Just had a ton of bonuses. Thankfully.
okay, so it's gonna go. Luirlan is first. Something else is going second. Isafino is third. Something else is fourth. Aliyah is fifth, and last is Valorian. So on this particular turn, all of you are going to get to go before anything else can react. So, Luirlan, you have first go. What are you going to do as these two human guards, swords drawn? They're both hulking human men wearing... they have like ragged beards, like they haven't shaved in a really long time. They have this sort of blackened armor, these breastplates that they're wearing, and their blades have a sort of almost shimmery black purple to them. These long swords.
Luirlan sort of takes a few steps forward. They can't see him, and so he just directly in their path. And as one of them walks, is stepping forward towards the alcove, Luirlan sort of grabs him behind the neck and thrusts a rapier straight into him, just out of nowhere.
Okay.
And he is going to, as he does that, just sort of hum, and the vibration of his voice sort of goes down into his arm and into the blade itself. It starts vibrating as he begins to hum his blade song as a bonus action.
So I want you to make that attack at advantage.
That is a 21.
That is a hit.
And that will do 1d8 plus 3. 5 damage.
All right. Yeah, so you thrust your blade, this humming, vibrating blade. You just find that space below the breastplate and sink the rapier in to flesh. It doesn't kill him, but it's a pretty big blow. Yeah. After this, we can take a break, Taylor. Any other actions there, Luirlan?
No, that was my move, my bonus, and my action. So I'm out.
So then, next in this order is going to be Isafino.
As this is a action before the main round, right?
Yeah, you guys each. It's your surprise round, basically.
Okay. Can I delay it till after Aliyah, or do I lose it if I don't use it?
So you can hold your action for a specific condition.
My condition is if. Oof.
I mean, you don't have to spell out literally if Aliyah does this thing, but if what you're doing is waiting for Aliyah to take an action.
Basically, yeah, that's what I'm. I mean, if I don't see her do an action, if I see that she panics and doesn't do anything, I'll take my action. But ideally, after she does something, I will do something. I will cast magic on these guys.
So then it bounces to Aliyah.
So Aliyah is hiding as best she can, and she brings a hand to her mouth and mutters something under her breath. And you see this translucent hand appear at the soldier that Luirlan has just put his rapier through. And it grips this soldier by the neck. He's going to take... I should have rolled that already. 6 necrotic damage.
Nice.
What does it look like as you kill this thrall?
It's perfectly silent. This hand grabs his neck, and then just he falls.
As soon as Aaliyah does that, I'm going to move to the other guy. Am I behind them? Did I successfully position myself, or are they moving into the alcove and I'm behind them, or no?
Yeah, with your invisibility, I'll say yes.
Got it. So I'm going to move and basically put my hand on him as 4 force missiles come out of my hand and just blast this guy as I touch him.
Point blank.
Yes.
Magic missile. That's awesome.
Yeah, drop this. Yeah, well, I'm trying to leave the sound to a minimal. So that's let's see. 13 damage. I used a second level slot.
So what does this look like? Because that's enough to take him out.
So I basically touch him as I turn visible and I mutter the magical words, and my hand glows, and 4 energy beams hit him right there on his body, on his armor. And as he falls, I grab him so he doesn't fall and make sound. I try to grab him with the other hand as so I do.
That's badass.
War magic.
Honestly, I have never seen anybody do a point blank magic missile like that. I just see that just cool. Like right into his body as his body just literally just stiffens up. His armor glows for a moment, but his body absorbs the full impact and the sound. So it's just that.
And then I grab him and make sure
and you just lower him down to the ground. And both.
I drag my guy into the alcove.
Same.
And if he has any sort of like uniform on or a cloak that like shows that he's one of the guards of these guys or something that I could wear to perhaps fool someone.
The only thing you see is that they both seem to be wearing relatively, they're not wearing any other kind of armor other than these kind of shimmery black breastplates over normal common clothes.
Shimmery black breastplates over normal common clothes. Huh? Can I have a look at one of those breastplates?
Sure. Give me a Arcana check.
Five. Rolled a 2 on the die.
You've seen thralls wearing armor, similar breastplates before, but you've never seen one up close. You're not into. I mean, you don't know if it's a play of the light or if it even has arcane properties.
I've seen thralls wearing these before, but I've never seen one up close. It's fascinating. I don't think it's magical, though.
And so since you guys kind of quickly nipped those guards in the bud, and I literally had no idea how much time had passed, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And we will pick right back up with this, what I'm now thinking of as magical expendables. With that sudden, that was pretty awesome. So we're going to go ahead and take a real quick, we'll take about 5 minutes or so break if that's enough for everybody. Otherwise we'll be longer. So just real quick for my players, remember, do not mute your camera, or I'll have to redo the overlay before we come back. Everybody watching, thank you for tuning in, and we will be back in just a few moments.
Taylor, your cat looks
mics so everybody can hear us. And there we are. We are back after just a short break for refreshments and what have you. We're going to go ahead and get right back into it. If you stick around for the end of the game, we'll get a little more info on these amazing players and this all spellcaster infiltration into the Great Library looking for the Elder Brain. So you have just successfully, as I was saying on the break, Isafino kind of finished that little thing with a John Wick, four magic missiles to the back at close range and lowered the body down. And prior to coming up the stairs, one of the Devourers had been distracted enough to take off running towards the back of the library. And as far as you can tell, the others hadn't been alerted. So right now, you very quickly dispatched the immediate threat. What are you going to do?
Do we have a clear sight to the base level?
Yep. It's those stairs straight down unless you want to circumnavigate to the other side and try that.
Do we have a clear view of the entrance to the underground area? Is it like a door or a trap door? Or...
Well, you know that there would be kind of open doorways that lead down to the archival, to the basement area, under the first level balcony. So you could look back that way. That's kind of where one of the Devourers went. But yeah, you can see back that way. It's mostly shrouded in shadow. But if you want to see what you can discern, anybody can give me a perception.
I'll give it a go.
Is there
12.
Is there what?
My perception was 20, but I had a question about knowledge history to remember where the entrance is. Is that possible?
Yeah, everybody would remember. They're in the corner. So in the southwest and the southeast corners, under the balcony, is where those entrances are.
All right, so I rolled 20 for perception.
So in Valorian, would you say you had a 12?
I had 12. Yep.
What about the other two? Were you trying to peer closer, or you just...
11.
Elia's trying to look around and see if there are any more of those Devourers and what they're doing. So she's looking for threats. And that was a 13 for me.
You've lost... lost sight of that first Devourer, and you don't see the other two humanoids or Devourer. Isafino, you're the only one. As you peer into the shadows, the rest of you that look to the south, you just see shadow. You can see something more. Like the shadow almost has substance under the balcony. Normally that area would be lit by lanterns. But... Oh, dark vision 120. So actually you can see a little bit better. Not only do you see the shadow, which to your eyes appears as a gray veil, you see that rather than just where you would expect to see the straight lines and angles of rectangular bookshelves lined with square books, the curves of the alcove archways. Instead, what you see is almost organic. Something seems to be protruding from virtually every surface. You see tendrils of something stretching across from corner to corner, from shelf to shelf. This mass that seems to take up most of the southern wall, as you look at it, seems to almost quiver and pulse. But that's the most you can see from here.
Is that one of the entrances to the basement area?
This is
or
the
that
south
just
area, so the basement entrance would be on either side of that.
but not covered by the.
From what you can tell, no.
Okay.
But this thing's taking up a good 50-foot section of the southern wall.
I'm gonna touch Laureline, right? Sorry, I messed up the name here. Laureline, and touch your shoulder and point at the direction of the wall. Do you see that?
After he points it out to me, do I see it?
The wall is alive.
Do you have dark vision to
I have
120?
60 dark vision.
It's just kind of on the edge of your. To you, it just looks mostly like shadow.
Aaliyah, Valorian, one of the walls at the south over there looks like it is alive.
Yeah, I have 120 dark vision.
Then you would see the same thing once it's pointed out to you.
It's right beside the entrances that we need to get to.
Perhaps these armors that the guards wear protect them against whatever
So I will
enchantment this is.
let me because you had said earlier you didn't think it had any magic, right? But
It didn't
weren't
seem
sure.
to at the time.
Yeah, that's kind of
but
sorry.
let me-
Yeah, that's kind of where we ended at. He
let me.
had
I'll
looked
take a
at it.
closer look. I want to double check for
Okay,
magic.
go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Valorian, do you need help?
16.
You look at this and you can tell that this is this breastplate is imbued with some sort of energy that almost seems to defy magic. It's weird because where you would expect if it were a magical item to be able to sense the magic, you sense a void instead. It has power. You can discern that much.
Okay.
You just don't know what.
So I'll kind of turn and say, you know, this is dark. There's something's not right with this. There should be magic here, but there's not. Do I get any sense that it is dangerous at all, like to us, if we were to try to use it?
No. I mean, there's no inherent danger sense.
Okay.
That's, I guess, up to your own discernment.
Hand
Hand
how
it
far? Okay, I hand it to Aaliyah.
I slip it on.
Whoa.
I want you to make an intelligence saving throw.
$19.
You put this breastplate on, it just easily kind of slips on, and there's a couple straps that you would have to put in place. But as soon as you kind of put it up and hold it up to you, now the way I'm going to describe this is just because it's something you can all relate to. It's basically like when Frodo sees the flash of the Eye of Sauron, but you see instead a flash of a green shrouded massive pulsing brain just for a split second, and you feel as though this powerful psychic presence is attempting to assault your mind, but you resist it. But you feel that if you hold this armor or wear this armor, it's going to continue to assault you.
Off, 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 off.
And you would all see that she has a very strong reaction, almost like being electrocuted, putting this on.
I think it's mind controlling them. Perhaps through this. I saw it.
Perhaps next time then we can avoid unnecessary death and simply remove the armors from any further men that we encounter. I do not like to kill ones that may be innocent.
None of us do. Isfino, you're muted, I think.
I think that might be harder. Some losses have to be acceptable in a war like this. But if we can, we'll try.
Isfino's right. Sometimes it's not enough to simply subdue someone. It's far more difficult.
We need to decide if we're going down to the basement or not with that wall of small tentacles, living wall of sorts.
Well, it's not in front of the entrance to the basement, right?
No,
That
it's
you could tell?
just beside it. How close is it to the actual door?
So the doors would actually be this mass is taking up about 50 feet of the southern wall. The doors are pretty much within like 10, 12 feet of the edges of this thing on either side.
About 10 feet, maybe a little more from this tentacled wall, so perhaps we might be all right.
These tendrils seem to kind of move from bookshelf to bookshelf. Some move from the ceiling of the balcony that you're on to the floor.
What's the length of each tentacle then?
They vary. Anywhere from as little as 4 feet to as much as 15 feet.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so I definitely relay that information.
Well, we could make a break for it. We don't have the advantage of invisibility on our side anymore.
And only doing once more for two of us.
I'll volunteer as tribute this time.
I think that is a good idea. Perhaps we should lure the other set of guards this way and try to eliminate them one by one.
That's not the worst idea in the world. I have a feeling that if we do get out of this alive, we'll be wanting to flee, and anyone that we left in our path will become a barrier between us and survival.
Nerlan, if you think we're getting out of this alive, you're delusional.
He shrugs. Then what are you fighting for?
For everyone else.
I look at Aaliyah and nod.
I say we go as quickly and quietly as we can. Down.
And hope the wall doesn't see us then.
The guards will come if they come.
The cards suck today.
All right.
So did you cast invisibility?
Not again, nope.
Oh, okay.
We're up here in the alcove with two bodies discussing what we're gonna do. Is the other intellect devourer coming this way, or we haven't heard it at all?
No, you've actually lost track of both of them now.
Okay. So
Well, regardless of what you think our chances of success are, I think a good option is to eliminate whatever's in this library one by one before we proceed.
I disagree. We are on a clock. We cannot spend time to eliminate every possible threat. We must go for the Elder Brain now.
But if we have enemies behind us, they might pincer us.
So be it.
The Elder Brain can communicate telepathically and call.
We have the time now to do it, Aaliyah. I don't think it's a bad idea.
That time until when? There are few guards here. You know they have all gone out searching. How long until they return?
More than a few minutes.
You don't know that.
To search a city takes several hours. They wouldn't send a search party out and have it come back 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later.
What do you think, Valorian?
We're gonna die, so let's kill some things along the way.
So do we kill him now, or do we run into this wall and get attacked from behind?
I think we kill them now.
Aaliyah?
I am outvoted. I will go with you.
Let's
Very
make
well.
another. Let's do what we did last time and make a commotion and try to bring him to us.
I agree. So you said that there were alcoves, but also that there were sort of study rooms on the side, right?
Well, the alcoves are the study rooms.
Okay. I thought you meant that there were also like sort of rooms to the side with like a door that you could.
No, there's no doors off of these balconies.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, we hide the bodies, prepare some sort of ambush, similar to what we just did, and
Yeah, without knowing the terrain, Jacob, from an ambush perspective, what's plausible here without the invisibility spell again?
Basically, what you did and what Aaliyah was doing, which is hiding out of sight in these alcove areas. So, I wish I had a better way to do this, but let's say kind of like this. Each alcove is sort of like this. That, say this is the... I can't find the thing to point at it. My pencil. So that's the stairway. This is the balcony. This is an alcove. This is the study area. And it connects over here. So there's bookshelves on either side of this wall.
Oh, so there's a wall where we can hide behind. Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what Aaliyah was hiding behind last time.
Okay. That's actually really good.
yeah. So
That's
yeah,
exactly what we want.
yeah, let's make a little bit of noise or something. Same thing. Mage hand, make some books fall.
Yeah, I can
Something
mage
will
hand some more
investigate
books.
it, and we get the jump on them and just take them out one by one.
All right.
I'm going to bonus action sorcery, point bring a spell back, and I'm going to cast Unseen Servant.
Okay. So Mage Hand appears and shoves some more books over. And it definitely gets the attention of the two humanoid guards and one of the devourers. And you see them emerge from actually below you, kind of out into the area and kind of look up. And then you can hear footsteps coming up from immediately below you. And we're going to stick with this same initiative order that we had. If everybody's cool with that. And as they begin coming up the stairs, that means it's going to be Lurlan.
Awesome. So there's two human guards. Am I hearing the steps of the intellect devourers yet?
Perception.
Are they also on their way? Natural 20.
You can hear the footfalls kind of rapidly of the humanoids coming up. And you can hear this like staccato, almost impatient thumping as it's easy to discern the devourer is immediately behind them, wanting to come up the stairs as well.
Awesome. In that case, while they're coming up, I'm going to use a bonus action to cast Shadow Blade. And so he kind of like he's hiding behind the bookshelves and he puts his hands in front of him and kind of goes and pulls his hands apart, and as he does, from between his hands just dark shadows emerge and sort of crackle outwards, and he kind of pulls his hands apart and he's holding this shard of what looks like pure darkness.
All right, awesome.
And then as soon as they enter the alcove, he's gonna attack.
So is that an action or a bonus action to do what you did?
Shadow Blade is a bonus action.
Okay. So they come up. And the first one kind of stops and just looks into the alcove area, but doesn't go in. He continues on. But the second one breaks off and steps into the alcove.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting the Shadow Blade if I have to jump on him.
Roll the attack.
Would you say that the area is in dim lighting?
It was late. I would say yeah, because it was already late afternoon, and there's not any other illumination in here. So yeah, it's dim.
Okay. So the Shadow Blade has advantage on attack rolls if the lighting is dim or dark.
Okay.
So here we go. And that's going to be a 24.
That's definitely a hit.
10 damage.
How does the Shadow Blade kill this thrall?
Nice.
So the Shadow Blade does psychic damage.
Ooh.
And it doesn't have any substance to it, so it like goes through things. You can only dodge it. And so I just plant it straight into his chest, and I feel no resistance. The blade just goes straight through him and all the way up to my hand, where it ends, and I sort of almost punch him in the chest, sort of accidentally, and I kind of look at him, and his eyes go wide, and just blood starts to drip from his nose, from out of his ears, and he just kind of opens his mouth a little bit, coughs a couple times, and hits the side of the wall.
From further down where the other guard was, you actually he stutters in his step and clutches at his head for a moment. And you hear from the first floor to the south, as you make this attack, you just hear this kind of
How's that again?
Don't make me do that again.
Exactly.
And he goes, he kind of whispers, "Taste of your own medicine."
And then it's Isafino's turn.
I will wait after the other two, actually.
Aliyah.
Do I need to tell you a thing?
No.
Okay.
Aliyah.
So the one that came into the alcove got taken by Lurlan, right?
Yep.
And the other one's not in here yet?
He walked past, so he would actually be kind of in the area where the other door was, but he didn't go into the alcove.
I will, taking a cue from Valorian, I'll take a book out and just kind of drop it on the floor near me.
Okay.
And if that's like an interaction, then I'll ready my action so that when that thing comes around,
Okay.
I can attack it.
Valorian.
So I can't see anything right now where we're hidden, correct? See any of these?
You would have seen Lurlan take out the one.
Yeah, but I can't see any of the other ones, correct?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I will just ready an action for
So
waiting to be able to see what comes through
so
the door.
the three of you have kind of readied your actions, and
If they don't do anything, can I do something?
yes.
I'm gonna look out the one of the entrances to the alcove, the one where I think the intellect devourer is. Do I see it?
How do you look out? Do you just like peer around the corner, or
the peek? Yep.
you peek around the corner and see at the top of the stairs, quote unquote, looking at you, a giant brain. Well, not giant, but bigger than a normal brain with 4 claws, looking towards your direction.
How far?
We'll say 10 feet.
Sorry, trying to find the spell here that I'm gonna cast. I'm going to cast Toll the Dead on it,
Okay.
and it's a DC 14. I'm trying to find out where it is. Can't freaking find it on my spell list. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is. So it's DC 14 for me, and it is a wisdom save.
Okay. Let's see. That is. Let's see. That is a 7.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna do 2d8 necrotic. Hopefully he takes it. Basically, a bell fills the air around it as I wink at it and point at it, and I did a 10 necrotic damage, and then I move back to the middle area, ideally with everybody else protecting me.
So it kind of, as it hits this thing, it just kind of, it doesn't make a sound, but you can see a corruption begin to spread across this brain thing, and it kind of drops almost down a bit low and kind of stutters with its wavers on its feet a bit.
I didn't know we were here.
But it's not dead. So, let's see. So you went. So we actually loop back to the top of the order now. So, Lurelon.
I go out there and attack the guard,
Okay.
the human. That's an 18.
That hits.
And as a bonus action, I'll cast the cantrip Green Flame Blade. So the necrotic sort of the dark blade sort of erupts into with these green flames licking it. So
Sorry.
that'll be
Green flame. Sorry, I had to.
Green flame.
green flame. All right, so that's 11 points of psychic damage plus 3 points of fire damage.
So, how does this look as you kill the last thrall?
This guy, I basically pass the blade through him, just cutting him, and I say a prayer. I'm sorry, but as my friend said, this had to be. Just before I attack him. And I'm advancing through the hallway, but not just walking through the hallway. I'm almost dancing and swerving and tucking and weaving as I go. The world is slowed down around me.
Excellent. And you hear that screeching wail from the southern wall on the first floor as your psychic damage kills this thrall.
And after I finish killing him, he topples to the floor, and I do kind of one of those Matrix moves, and I do the little to the brain.
Well, the Devourer immediately leaps towards Isafino.
I didn't know that could set the alcove earlier.
This is it's going to leap in after him, which is going to trigger, because you would have been further away from it. The other guard was at the further doorway to the alcove, Lurelon.
Okay.
So you're probably about 15 or 20 feet away from this thing right now.
Okay.
So what's going to happen here is, because the other two held their actions for something to come into the alcove. So it's going to make its attack, and then Aaliyah and Valorian are going to make their attacks. So the Devourer is going to rush in, and it's going to lash at Isafino with its claws. That is a 21 to hit.
Yeah, it hits. I don't think anything I can do can stop this.
As it just pounces at you with its claws.
Next time, don't tell me the number so I can cast shield in case.
It does... Well, it only does 5 points of slashing damage.
It's 6 of my hit points.
And as it...
That's a lot on Squishy Wizard.
as it slams into you, you need to make an intelligence saving throw.
Oh, come on. That's 17 natural, and that's plus 320. Goodness for that.
That's nice.
You feel this blast kind of emanate psychically from it and just wash over you. And you too see this sort of Sauron-like flash of this green illuminated brain for a split second. And then it passes. Aaliyah, the Devourer has entered the alcove. What would you like to do? And this is your held action, not your actual turn.
Yeah, so this is my held action. Is she moves forward and reaches out with a hand that just crackles with energy, and it's 20 plus to hit.
Definitely a hit.
And it's 3 electricity damage as I cast Shocking Grasp, and it arcs across this brain dog.
Okay. More screeching from beyond. And then, Valorian, you also get your held action.
Okay, so I just I kind of rise up and hold out the wooden staff, and this this energy kind of crackles from. Well, first off, does a 19 hit? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay, so it does. This, you see this energy crackle from the end of my staff, and this lightning bolt comes flying out, and it lances into the brain dog. Does 12 and 17 points of thunder damage as I cast Chaos Bolt.
So you unleash thunder and lightning on this thing. What does it look like as you kill the Devourer?
So again, there's just this loud booming clap, and lightning shoots across, lances into the brain, and just fries this dog. It just starts to crackle. And as it tips over, I kind of look to my compatriots and I say, "Sure, I'm glad I don't have to be quiet anymore."
As this loud through the library seems to both for momentarily sort of echo, but quickly die in the walls and absorbed by the books in the walls and the floors of this interior space. And you hear the screeching from the southern wall. What would you like to do?
I'm outside the alcove right now. I look around. Does it seem like there's any other intellect devourers or any other guards coming towards us?
You don't see the other intellect devourer. You see no other guards.
And
But
I don't
you
hear it
see-
either.
But you see in that shadows of the southern wall, you see the tendrils moving, shifting, sort of coalescing toward a central point as a mass begins to emerge from the shadow. And what you see come hovering out from under the space looks like this.
Oh no. What is that?
It is a large mass of flesh and muscle. 4 massive writhing tentacles hanging below it, just shifting around. 6 more tentacles on top, writhing around. And suddenly, in the center of the mass, a large milky white eye opens. At the end of each of the 6 tentacles on the top of its head, 6 more milky white eyes open.
Well,
And I'm going to see where this thing fits in the initiative order.
it's not good.
All right.
All right,
So-
Aaliyah, you were right. We should have snuck past it.
So, let's see. So it's actually in the initiative order because you guys were taking held actions. It's actually Isafino's turn.
So I'm still behind this alcove, right? And feeling a little dizzy because this thing tried to do weird shit to me. So I'm gonna kind of walk out of the alcove and look around. Do I see this thing then?
Yes.
All right, I guess this is time.
As it's pulling in from the shadow, you see these kind of wet tendrils of flesh kind of pulling loose from this mass under the balcony and kind of snapping to it. Some of them snap back. It's dripping with ichor and slime as it hovers out. So what are you doing?
So as I walk out of the alcove and see this thing, I'm gonna attempt to quickly cast a scorching ray at it.
All right.
All right, so that's 3. I will cast it as a level 3 spell. So that's 4. Let's see. First one is a 22. Second one's a 12.
The first one hits.
Okay. And the other 2 are a 18 and a 9. So I'm assuming.
And the third one hits. So you got 2 hits, 2 misses.
Acceptable, I guess.
Solid.
So let's see. That is 8 fire damage for the first one and 7 fire damage for the second one.
As these scorching rays just shoot out, 2 of them kind of hit into this pulsing mass. For a brief moment, you see under the balcony, illuminated, pulsing masses of flesh all along the walls, connecting the bookshelves. Embedded within this fleshy mass, you see, you only get a flicker, but you see at least half a dozen faces, arms, legs, as it looks like people are embedded in this fleshy mass. And then it's gone.
I'm going to move back into the alcove and just start cursing in Elven.
And this thing is now going to go. And let's see.
What else can I do?
So that's going to be first. As it, let's see what its distance is. It hovers up 20 feet into the air, into the central area. So that's looking right towards where you just were. And let's see. Lurelon, you're on the balcony. You're not in the alcove, correct?
I'm the only one outside the alcove.
You need to make a strength saving throw.
Ooh, I'm really good at those. Not. 17 plus 0.
You feel a force trying to grab hold of you, and it moves you a couple inches, sliding you toward the railing, but you're able to resist this force. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Also not my strong suit. That's a 10.
Some invisible force slams into you, and you feel fatigued in all of your muscles. Movement is an effort. For the next minute, your speed is halved. You also lose the ability to take reactions, and you can only take an action or a bonus action, but not both, for the next minute. You will be allowed to repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns. And finally,
That's
another
dexterity?
that's dexterity, yeah. And finally, a strength saving throw again. As you feel this force pulling at you.
12.
Oh, wait, sorry. Hold on. Sorry, I had to re-roll if it's the same thing. You may need to make a Constitution saving throw.
I make it 20-something.
Yeah, so no effect. As you just feel this thing, it's almost like an air cannon as these different eye stalks seem to kind of focus on you and just thoof, thoof, thoof. And the only one that finds its mark is this slowing ray. Aliyah.
So Aliyah watches these like almost invisible beams go past her, and she steps forward and draws a sigil in the air, and as she pushes her hand forward and it takes shape, it goes and it casts a shadow over this beholder. He needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
17.
He makes it. And as this shadow holds on him for a second, you can see it beginning to cover over the eye stalks. And then it's dissipated.
The eye stalks seem to almost like writhe away from this darkness as it dissipates. Is that your turn?
That is indeed my turn.
Valorian.
All right, so I'm going to, or Florian steps out from behind the wall, and again just starts to wave his staff as he mutters to himself. And I'm going to cast Shatter as a second level spell.
All right.
At the holder, cast it at the center. Has to make a DC or a Con 14 save.
Oh, that was a 20, and it like literally just stopped on its edge and went boom to a 7 for a total of 9.
Okay, so 13. That is what 13 thunder damage.
Valorian likes his thunder.
Yeah, I'm not a quiet sorcerer.
And you kind of see as it hits that this thing just kind of shifts back a few inches. All of its tentacles and eye stalks seem to almost blow back for a moment from this attack.
And then when I'm finished, I will just move back behind the wall.
All of you hear within your mind this voice. Futility. Hopeless. Die. And Lorelon, it is your turn.
So basically, I'm the only one that this thing has line of sight on from where it is, right? Like everybody else is casting spells and then hiding behind the alcove.
Yeah, did Aliyah and Valorian, did you guys both duck back behind cover?
Yes.
I think Aliyah probably would have, having seen what those eye stalks do.
Okay, so yes, you're the only one in line of sight right now.
I shoot a firebolt at it and retreat into the alcove, out of line of sight of where it is.
All right.
That's a 20-something.
That's a hit.
2d10 fire damage. Oh, wait. 13 fire damage. And I don't know if I have enough movement to get in there. I think I was pretty close to the door, so even at half movement.
Yeah, you'd be able to
And,
get in there with half movement. And as
my blade song also adds 10 to my movement.
as your fire bolt hits it, you just hear burn, rip, tear, mutilate. And just as you're ducking back, all of you hear this sound in your mind. Isafino, it's your turn.
All right. Loreline, if you can get close to that thing, you think you can do some damage? Quickly, man, quickly.
I could try.
All right. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to cast Invisibility on Loreline. Go for it.
All right.
Thank you.
So
I'm going to use my bonus action to have the Unseen Servant take one of the potions out of the bag from Aaliyah and be ready for the first death.
well put. It is now the Mind Witness's turn. As it hovers to the edge of the balcony. And it has enough movement to... at this point, I think it's just going to hover to the edge of the balcony. It's about as far as it can get. And it's going to start shooting rays into the alcove. And, okay, so reroll that. So, you just sense that, and at one point, an entire shelf of books seems to just implode on itself, pages flying everywhere. But with all of you out of its line of sight, it can't actually strike at you on this turn.
Is it small enough to fit into the alcove? Like, are we safe here?
Safe is a relative term. It's it's large enough. I mean, this thing is large, so this thing is easily. We'll say that this thing is the core of its body is about 12 feet in diameter, and then the tentacles and eye stalks give it this irregular elongation where it's almost like 20 feet. So you don't think that it's going to be able to squeeze in there, but it would have reach to shoot its eyes in or tentacles in there.
Understood.
And that's Aaliyah's turn.
Did you say now it's my turn?
Yes.
Yeah, she stepped forwards and puts her hand in one of the most recognizable configurations with this W. And flame shoots from her fingertips. I believe he gets a dex save. Yes.
Let's see what she got on that. That is a 16 plus 2 is 18.
Okay, so he'll take 6 fire damage.
As he just seems to kind of just pulse off to the side, out of the way of this. 6, you said?
Yes. And so he's kind of blocking the way, right?
Not really. He kind of came to the edge of the balcony. So he's kind of hovering out in that open air space, but he's not actually in blocking. So you still have that walkway accessible.
Yeah, can I get past him like I'm going towards the stairs?
Let me see what his reach is. Yes.
Aaliyah will begin to run. And she'll just kind of call over her shoulder. We can deal with this as we go. We're running out of time.
And so you're running down the stairs?
Yes.
What's your movement?
Believe it's 30.
That will get you halfway down the stairs.
Excellent.
And then Valorian.
How far is this thing from me? I'm just inside the alcove entryway.
10 feet.
Okay, so I'm going to walk up to the edge of the balcony, so I get within a few feet of them, and then
if you walk up to the edge of the balcony, you'll be within reach.
Okay,
like 5 feet of him.
Okay, so and then how far is like the spot downstairs we're trying to get to? How far is that from me?
Straight line is probably about 100 feet.
Okay. I'm going to cast Thunderstep, and I'm going to teleport to the kind of like a bookshelf nook that's as close to the door we're trying to get to as possible, but I've got 90 feet that I can travel. And then when I transport, he has to make a Con 14 saving throw, as does anybody else within 10 feet of me.
Nobody else would be within 10 feet of you. They'd be protected around the wall, and Aaliyah's far enough down the stairs that she wouldn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I freaking love Thunderstep, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a what save, Con?
Con 14.
That is a 15.
Okay. So I did 18, so he would take 9 thunder damage. And then I would transport to a giant thunder boom, and I'm transported to the bottom floor behind some bookshelves.
Excellent. So that's far enough to get you kind of to the edge where there's like lower, like waist high bookshelves, right before the edge of the overhang of the balcony. You can see where you are that with your dark vision too, you can see into the shadows that this entire southern wall is this fleshy mass, and that there are about a dozen humans embedded in the wall, mouths open in silent screams, as all of them you can only see, they're not like cut in half, but you can only see like from the waist up, as they seem to just slowly be pulling at the stuff that's kind of holding them in, silently screaming, eyes clouded over. And it's Lorlan's turn.
All right, Lorlan is invisible?
Absolutely.
Yes. And this thing is just off the edge of the balcony.
All right, Lorlan is gonna. He's feeling kind of weak, so he kind of reaches up and slaps himself in the face a couple times. Come on, Lorlan, you can do this. And he is going to rush out of the alcove. He's going to jump up invisibly on the balcony and try to jump onto this thing, and sort of balance on top of it and start attacking it from above. Basically, he's trying to float on this thing and attack it from up top. I know my movement speed is halved, but I have plus 10 from my blade song.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know if I can make it.
I'm going to allow it because it's badass. And you're
So
invisible.
Did I roll like a acrobatics or something to get up there? It doesn't see me coming at all. It just feels like an impact.
No, I'm going to allow it. The rule of cool. I'm not even going to make you roll. I mean, it's right there. If it were further away from the balcony, you most assuredly would roll for it. But it's right there. You basically have to step up onto it. But you now need to, if you're going to attack, you can only do an action or a bonus action.
I know. So, well, green flame blade is out, but I'm still attacking with my shadow blade. Here we go. That's 25.
That is a hit.
Nice.
14 damage. And so I'm balancing on top of this thing, trying to stay on, and I just appear out of nowhere, and I'm just slashing into it, trying not to look as the arms and faces of whatever mass makes this thing up are screeching below me. I'm just trying to, like, holding my head up, holding on, and slashing wildly.
Its eye stalks are kind of just writhing around you. And I'm going to... Oh, yeah, it would still do that. I think the eye stalks are just going to be shooting wildly. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try something here. So that one... No. So of its normal 3 eye stalk attacks... I imagine as you're trying to stay afloat on this thing, 2 of the stalks that try to grab at you, you just like almost have them like reins, and they kind of shoot outward. So only one of the free tentacles is going to get a shot at you, or eye stalks. Ooh.
Come on, intelligence.
You need to make a strength saving throw.
Oh, come on.
Ouch.
Here we go. That's an 18 on the die plus 0 is 18.
So as you're holding on to these eye stalks, you feel this telekinetic power gripping hold of you and trying to pull you away. And you're holding on, and then you resist and kind of drop back to it.
Yes!
Nice.
Which would have sucked because you're about 20 feet in the air, too. So that ends its turn. Isafino.
All right, so talk to me about this banister that goes down to the first floor. Is it like a spiral, or is it like a straight shot? What are we talking about here?
It's a spiral. The staircase is a tight spiral metal staircase.
Okay. So sliding down the banister is no bueno then. Not easy. All right, so let's see. I guess I'm going to stick it. I'm going to hope that the other 2 continue forward, and I'm going to start attacking this thing. So I'm going to move out of the alcove. See a badass Lorelon attacking this thing, and I'm going to use my bonus action, if I'm reading this spell correctly, to bring out my familiar.
Okay.
And it's a bat. So this, I'm going to say Camille. With me, and I'm going to have the bat appear. It can appear 30 feet from me, so it's going to appear, and it's going to use the. I think it's aid is the action on the creature. Well, I don't know what it's called. Mind flare, I guess.
The mind witness.
Or mind. Oh, it's a mind. Holder. All right, so yeah, so I'm going to have that thing give. I think it's advantage to Lorelei on attacks. While it's doing that, I'm going to. I guess I'm just going to magic missile this because that does good stuff. All right, so here we go. I'm going to cast magic missile. I lost my D4. So I cast magic missile at it.
All right.
That's 11. 11 force damage on it.
How do these missiles shoot out? Are they like in wild direction, like, or just this like shotgun blast like you did before?
I think in this case, I'm very precise in my magic in general, so I with 3 fingers, because there's 3 of them, point and they go directly at it. And if they are about to hit Loreline, they go around and hit as close as they can to the target. Very precise.
All 4 of these missiles slam into this Mind Witness.
If I can aim at eye stalks, even better.
You hit exactly where you're aiming.
Perfect.
And as the last missile hits, the milky eyes at the end of all 6 eye stalks burst into flame. The milky eye in the center of this mass bursts into flame. And it drops.
If I still have movement left, can I move forward and try to grab Loreline?
You would have enough movement. I'm going to allow it. You're going to make a dexterity check.
All right.
My blade song also gives me advantage on all acrobatics checks.
You know what? I forgot. Loreline,
try to acrobatically jump off.
I forgot to have you make your saving throw at the end of your turn.
Yes. I
So
forgot about that.
do that now.
Come on.
Dexterity save.
Oh, that's a 17.
So you are no longer under the slow effect.
Ah.
All right, so I'm going to roll this dex to try to grab him, and that's a 10 plus 2, 12. 12 dex to try to grab him.
And with you no longer under the slow effect, I'm going to say that you're able to get a hand out and just get a hold of his wrist as this Mind Witness falls away below to the floor with a wet-sounding thud crashing into a table. And Valorian, you hear this thing behind you crash into the ground.
As you're pulling me back up, I kind of say, "Oh, it feels good to win a little."
You, my friend, can be in my army anytime. Let's get down there.
From
And I slap him on the back with my weak strength.
From the far side of the library, completely opposite of where you are trying to get, where that area with all the seating, and then there's the raised stairway where they come down on either side, you hear a person yell, "Woohoo! Way to go!" And you hear Eliana's voice from
Nice.
the entrance of the library.
Does she have backup?
Right now, all you see is Eliana at the top of the stairs.
Eliana, do you have backup?
I've brought several people with me. Come.
I come.
Wait, is she upstairs?
She's so at the far side of this library. It's still got this high vaulted ceiling, but about 15 feet up is this where the entrance is, and then these stairs kind of come down into the library proper. She's at the top by the entrance.
We have to keep going down.
What's down?
We believe there's more. I don't think this is the only creature that was here. I mean, I'm not sure, and I look at the others.
I nod. I doubt it. I heard screeching coming from the south wall. I think we all did.
Aaliyah
what does the
has
wall look
not
like?
really stopped moving, and you notice that she's still continuing in her path towards the stairs down and the wall to where the basement is.
And Eliana says, "And you think the Elder Brain is downstairs? And you think the 4 of you have a chance to stop it?"
Alfira thought we did.
I'm kind of poking at the Mind Witness with my staff. I'm like, "We got this one."
I'd like to roll insight.
Go ahead.
That's a 17.
What are you trying to discern?
Something feels off about her. And does she seem to be the same person she was when we saw her last?
She has that kind of swagger of a 16-year-old cocky kid, but there's no fear in her voice. There's an edge of almost taunting in her voice.
Aaliyah is still moving. She kind of looks over her shoulder and goes, "Keep coming. We cannot delay for anyone." But in her mind, she is very suspicious.
I'm gonna take this as Aaliyah is suspicious, and I'm gonna say, I'm assuming then that Opal is all right. Tell her to come, and I start moving towards Aaliyah.
I follow my friends.
What does Aaliyah say to that?
So you're all continuing the move. What about you, Valorian? You were poking at the mind witness.
Yeah, I'm moving. I'll start moving towards the door we're trying to get to.
She doesn't say anything. She just kind of shrugs her shoulders and starts moving down the stairs. At this point, she's over 100 feet away from you guys. So you can leave her behind and head on down the stairs if you wish.
Valorian, is Valorian behind us, or he's last on the line?
I don't know. Are you, Valorian?
Yeah, I'm not leading the way for sure.
I think Aaliyah's
pretty
I'm in front.
Loreline's probably behind. I was third, and all right. So I'm gonna look at Valorian and say, "Did you make sure that thing was dead?" I did not.
It looked pretty dead to me.
It looked pretty dead.
They don't like being poked with sticks usually.
I think Aaliyah's worried that perhaps it's sending up an image. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so you guys are heading down the stairs.
Yeah.
You descend a spiral stone staircase for what feels like the equivalent of almost 20 feet down below ground. The stairway opens into a still large area with 15-foot high ceilings. It's probably about 50 feet across and about 100 feet long, filled with tables and low shelves in the middle and lined with shelves of scrolls and books. On the far side, you can see that there's a couple of doorways that lead further to who knows where. There's one on each side. So you're basically in a 50-foot by 100-foot room.
And two doors on the opposite side?
Yep.
One on the left and one on the right?
Yep.
Have I been down here before? Do I know where these lead?
Give me a history check.
Ooh, I actually am trained in history.
I would like to do as well.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Oh, that's a 20 plus 6. 26.
He's going to know more than I do.
You know that this is the primary archival area, but there's one more sub-basement that goes through the door on the right. Or rather, the door on the right goes through to the stairs that lead down to the sub-basement.
I kind of say, it's the right door. Let's go. Do I know where the left door leads?
No.
All right. I say, the only door I know is the right one, but it leads to a promising area.
Let's go.
So you begin heading across the room towards the right door. You get about halfway across the room, and you hear behind you, Eliana. It's a fool's errand. You better just submitting yourselves to its will.
There's our answer.
Aaliyah just keeps walking.
I
Nobody
wouldn't
has
do that
any-
if I were you.
She's in our heads, but at least we know we might be going the right way.
What were you saying, Lurelon?
I was kind of asking my companions. I kind of look back and say, "Do any of you have a way of dealing with this?"
I think this is in our minds. I think we're in its lair. I can't prove it.
I think.
Behind Eliana, you hear the sounds from both sets of stairs. You hear the sounds of footsteps. Many footsteps.
Stop talking and go.
Agreed.
We run.
Definitely. We're jogging.
All right. Gotta check something real quick. I don't know if I wrote this down. Oh, I did. I need... Well, actually, you took off running. And Isafino, you have the highest passive perception of 14, correct?
Correct.
You get about 25 feet from the right door. And suddenly, there's nothing there. It looks like there's cobblestone. And suddenly, you're falling through the cobblestone. As you pass through, you realize it was an illusion. As you begin tumbling down protrusions of broken cobblestone and tree roots, tumbling.
Are we all falling?
All of you are falling. None of you pass the passive perception to see the hallucinatory terrain as you fell through the floor.
My reaction to cast Featherfall.
Okay. Anybody else have a similar reaction?
Nope.
All falling, huh?
As you're falling, I want everybody to make a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage.
Featherfall works on everyone, though, right?
Oh, does it?
Does, yes.
Oh, yes,
So
sorry.
I can
That's right. You can
choose up
target
to
other...
5 creatures.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
cast Featherfall on all of us.
Win.
Yes.
So,
Because-
excellent.
Gosh, that's one of those spells where you're like, it's really situational.
Okay.
But dang if it isn't really useful when it is.
And this is that time. As you have that feeling of just, the floor literally dropping out from under you. And you just instinctively cast this. And all of you get that initial just gut churn. And then suddenly you're floating. And you land harmlessly 60 feet below.
Oh my god.
Onto broken cobblestone. You can see that this entire area is illuminated in an eerie green glow. You seem to be standing on a platform that is about 30 feet in diameter. And the green glow, so what you're standing on almost seems like shadow because the green glow is coming from a much larger cavernous space around you. It seems to emanate from everywhere at once. And from above you, 60 feet up, the hallucinatory terrain flickers and disappears. And you see Eliana looking down at you from above. I told you shouldn't have gone any further. Now you've gone too far. And all around Eliana, around the edges of this pit, you see first 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, 10, 12, a dozen, 2 dozen children from the ages of as young as 3 to 12 years old, all staring with vacant expressions surrounding Eliana, just looking down at you in the pit. And then you hear in your minds, "Welcome to your end."
Does anybody have any rope?
Yeah.
I have an explorer's pack.
How much rope do you have?
I think it's
Usually
30 feet.
50 feet
50
is usually
feet?
what comes in an
I have a
explorer's.
And
pistol
we're-
as well.
Okay. Somebody, I hand my rope to somebody and I say, tie this together, please.
I'm gonna take a shot at a firebolt shot at the girl. How far is she?
60 feet up.
I'm gonna send. I have 120, so I'm gonna send a firebolt at Liliana.
It's
Jake, is
Aquino, she's
there
our friend.
Is there anything down here?
Let's see what happens with the firebolt, and then I'll tell you what you see.
I'm trying to break the.
'Cause I was just laughing because you hear this in your mind, you hear this "welcome to the end," and all of a sudden Valorian's like, "Anybody got any rope?"
That's funny.
All right, so what'd you get for your attack?
Let's see. I need to roll that right. That is a 8.
Eliana doesn't even move as this firebolt just shoots past her into the ceiling above her.
Damn.
Debris from the ceiling kind of rains down on you. As Valorian and Laurelan are futzing with the rope, Aaliyah, you see a shadow illuminated in this sickly green glow about 30 feet away. Well, actually, it'll be only about 15 feet away from the edge of this platform you're on. This shadow rises up. It's humanoid. Its arms like this. And as it rises, it spreads its hands, and you can see the long tentacles dangling from its face as it casts its eyes around at all of you and just says, "More food for the elder brain," in your mind. Would you like to re-roll initiative or stay with the previous initiative order that we've been using?
I'll re-roll because that was really low
All right.
for me.
Go ahead, everybody, re-roll initiative.
Nice.
It didn't matter.
11.
19 is Safino.
14 for Leah.
And what'd you get, Valorian?
1.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
you did worse. All right, so it's gonna go Isafino is gonna go first, followed by the Mind Flayer, followed by Aliyah, then Laurelan. Jeez, I'm just
Sorry.
realizing that we have Valorian and Laurelan. It's very close to Valerian and Laureline. And then last is Valorian. What are you going to do, Isafino, as this mind flare rises up, levitating 15 feet from you? Well, actually, it'd be like 20 feet because he's out away from the edge.
How far is he from me?
About 20 feet.
And this room is how big?
You're on a 30-foot platform.
All right, let's firebolt this guy. That's all I got left. And he's floating?
Yes.
I'm going to firebolt him then. That is a 9 plus 6, 15.
That actually hits him.
Oh, nice. All right. Roll it. That is a 9 and a 10, so 19 fire damage.
Okay.
And I stay in place, and I call Carmel back to me then and just have her on my shoulder. I'm going to use her next round. Since I fell 60 feet.
Okay. You hear in your brains. And then you see this rapidly increasing flash of this green glow, image of this brain in your mind, and then just an explosion of green in your mind. And I need everybody to make an intelligence saving throw.
Good news is that these are potentially good for us, right?
17.
No kidding, natural 20.
18.
17. Oof.
You feel this blast of psychic energy wash over all of you, but you're all strong enough to resist it. All right. It is who did I say it was third? Aliyah.
So I get the sense that this is not the Elder Brain. Do I see anything else around?
From where you're at, kind of in the middle of this platform, all you can see is this kind of glowing green darkness, if that makes sense. It's just this green presence all around, and it seems to kind of be emanating from below you.
Oh, from below. Do I know what's below us?
Well, ostensibly Earth, but it doesn't seem quite that way.
Well, I mean, like in the makeup of the library, would we be on the bottom floor? Or would there be another like basement level below us?
You're actually in what you feel like you're in what should have been the sub basement.
Oh, okay.
Because you were already in the basement, and then you fell 60 feet lower.
Yeah.
You actually get a pretty good sense that you might even be below where the sub basement would have been.
So she does something similar to what she'd done with the beholder upstairs, and it's another sigil tracing, and I'm gonna need another con save.
That is going to be... I'm going to try a different die here. Use my big metal one. That's a 2 on the die, so that's a 3.
He is blind.
He is indeed.
Nice.
Wait a minute. He has advantage on saving throws versus magic. I was looking for the resistances. I knew that was missing something. That is a 13 this time. Is it
So
still
that exactly meets the DC. I don't know how it
so
works
that
on that.
passes it then.
Damn.
Sorry. As he just kind of goes like this, like...
Piece of shit.
He's a dick mind flayer. Anything else, Aaliyah?
She flips him off.
He just laughs in your mind. Lurlan.
All right. How much time has gone by since our last fight?
Because you guys pretty much took off running, I'm going to say less than 5 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, but more than 1 minute.
Yes.
All right. My Shadow Blade and my Blade Song are gone. Both of those things last 1 minute. Oh, God. I start singing again as a bonus action, or at least humming. And I rush over to this thing, get in its face, and I'm going to attack it with my rapier.
All right.
That's a 21 to hit.
That is going to hit.
1d8 plus 3, 6 damage.
Okay. Valorian.
Let's see here. I am going to cast my breath weapon
Nice.
at this guy. So he needs to make a DC 12. No, hold on. Yeah, DC 12 save.
Of what type? It's dexterity?
Dexterity, yes.
And that's a breath weapon, so he doesn't get advantage on this. With a 4 on the die, that's a 5.
Okay.
So he fails.
All right, so that's 5 and 9 points of lightning damage.
As your lightning arcs through, you can see that beyond the edge of this platform you're on, you can see cavern walls probably another 30 feet away, completely surrounding you. Isafino.
All right, so I'll use my bonus action to go ahead and send. Oh, you know what? Apparently, my familiar acts independently of me. Do you need me to roll an initiative for my familiar?
We'll just say it goes on your turn.
I'm gonna send it to go help Loreline. So, the next attack to it has advantage.
All right.
And while that's doing that, I'm going to do the. Oh, man. I'm going to firebolt again. Actually, I have a little one spell left. I do. I'm on magic missile since that hits. I'm on magic missile at the. Can I go to the? Can I move towards the edge of this hole and look down?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Wait, there's a hole?
Well, we're in a platform and there's a hole around it, right?
Yes.
It's like a big.
You're on a platform, and this green glow is emanating from below you, and another 30 feet beyond the edges of this platform are cavern walls that were briefly illuminated in the lightning.
So I'm going to send Carmilla over to help Loreline, and I'm going to go to the edge and look down real quick.
You're doing what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm gonna send Carmilla down the back. To
All right, I heard
Loreline,
that.
And I'm gonna go to the corner to the border and look down real quick before I shoot my magic missile.
As you look down, you see about another 60 feet down, you see this pool of glowing green goo, inside of which is this massive glowing green brain.
I'm gonna shoot magic missile at that.
Okay.
And that's for 8 damage to that brain.
Okay.
And I say out loud, "The brain's down here."
Everybody needs to roll a intelligence saving throw again.
Great. How about this, guys?
8.
Natural 20.
19.
Also 19.
So 19, 19, 20, 8. So Valorian. Is going to take 22 points of psychic damage as a blast of pure psychic energy screams in your mind, and you are
smarts a little.
stunned. You are stunned for 1 minute. Shalia.
Aaliyah heard Isafino's words. She felt the mind blast this pain, and she'll run almost tripping in her haste to get to Isafino's side and peer down and seeing this brain, she summons all her strength within her, puts one hand behind the other and makes this X and pushes. I need a dex save from the brain as lightning arcs
Oh, snap.
straight for it.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's a brain sitting in a giant vat of goo, so it doesn't get a lot of dex bonus. And it manages a 11.
That is a fail. That brain is gonna take 28 points of lightning damage.
All of you hear just a horrific screaming in your minds as you see that flash of that brain. Lurelon, I think you have a bat helping you. You said that gives him advantage on attacks.
On this attack, correct.
Yeah, I have advantage anyways if we're in low light. Oh no, I don't, because it's not
You do
the
now.
Shadow Blade yet. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and cast a protection from evil and good on myself. So I'm protected against certain types of creatures: aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. They have disadvantage on attack rolls against me. I cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them.
Excellent.
And that is my action. And as a bonus, can I do anything right here? It's not concentration. I cannot.
Then,
So that's it.
Then it's Valorian's turn.
So, do I know where this this brain is? Like, do I know?
You don't. You haven't looked over the edge, so...
I did yell out though.
Oh, this is true. So, but you're also stunned.
Yeah, I can't move, and I can only speak falteringly. I'm just trying to figure out if I know enough to. All I really do is potentially cast magic missile, but I would have halting speech when I did it. So I don't know how you would want to treat that.
Disadvantage.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
You want to do like a caster level check or something? Does that exist on this?
no. I mean, I would rule that you could still get the words out.
Nice.
okay. So, do I know enough about where this brain is to aim at that, or am I gonna? Is really the only thing I have an option for going to be the mind flayer?
You don't actually have line of sight, so you don't
Okay.
know where the brain is. So you only have the mind flare.
All right, I will shoot them at the mind flayer then.
Okay.
So there'll be 3, 4, 9, 10 points of force damage.
All right. Isafino. Oh wait, make your intelligence saving throw again.
Me or
Valorian.
19.
You managed to shake yourself free from the stunned effect,
Sweet.
and now it's Isafino's turn.
All right, so I got one level 1, one level 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Scorching Ray. Finish this level 2 off at this brain. That's 3 rays. And here we go. First one is a 17. Second one is a 15. And the third one is a 23.
All of them hit.
Nice. Whoa, I'm dropping dice here. Sorry. 9. So 9 for the first one, 10 for the second one, and 8 for the third one.
How,
I don't know. Yeah.
how much were they?
9, 10, and 8. I don't know if they have separate.
9, 10.
So 27 total. Fire. I don't know if he has resistances to each one separately, though.
Nope.
Nice. And I will use my bonus action to tell the bat to continue. Actually, he won't stop because I already told him. He continues doing the help action for Loreline.
I need everybody to make an intelligence saving throw.
Fucking balls.
15.
22.
13.
18.
What'd you get, Leo?
18. 12 plus 6.
So, Loreline, you got... What'd
13.
you get? 13. And who else got a low roll?
I had 15.
That's a low roll. And
Yep.
So, Valorian and Loreline. 12, 13, 21, 23. Both take 28 points of psychic damage
Jesus.
as a green flash and a blast comes from the Elder Brain itself. And you both are stunned.
So I'm dead. Well, I'm knocked out.
Oh, I need to roll for the...
Except I also have Strength of the Grave. So if I'm reduced to 0 hit points, I can make a charisma saving throw.
All right.
DC 5 plus the damage taken. So, yeah, that's not going to work.
Hey, Jacob, so the bat is dead, by the way. It would have
So I have to roll can I roll a 32? Is that possible?
No,
All right,
this isn't third or fourth edition.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Valorian falls. I imagine you just collapse. Like a marionette with its strings cut.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying about the bat? That it's dead?
Dead. Yep, it's dead.
And with Valorian down, it's the Mind Flayer. Is anybody standing next to Valorian?
I'm up in the Mind Flayer.
I'm sorry. I see both Taylor and Alex going, no.
I mean, I'm over at the edge with...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So the
You're
Mind
shooting
Flayer
down.
just hovers over to Valorian's body
Great.
Fuck, and
Extends
I'm
a
fucking
hand.
stunned.
and lifts the body up telekinetically. You see the tentacles begin to writhe over his head. And I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to roll 1 and multiply it by 10. You take another 20 piercing damage, Valorian. And because you're already at 0 hit points, you hear a disgusting slurping sound from under the tentacles as the Mind Flayer liquefies and extracts Valorian's brain.
I didn't hear anything.
No, you didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
Too bad you didn't have that ring.
Yeah. Yep.
And it is Aaliyah's turn.
Aaliyah spares a glance for Valorian and shudders, but turns her attention back to the Elder Brain and unleashes the lightning once again.
That's a 4.
Let's see what it is this time. Oh, that was not as good damage. That's 23.
You can tell you're doing some pretty good damage to the Elder Brain. As we jump quickly to Loreline.
I'm stunned, right? I can't do anything?
Halting speech.
Halting speech.
You can't move.
Yeah, I'm not about to go look through all my spells to see ones that only have a verbal component, so I'm going to just save against that, I guess.
So yeah, go ahead and roll the save again.
What is it, intelligence?
Yep.
16.
You are still stunned.
Great.
As we jump to Valorian, who is dead. So we
Did I
jump
get
past
skipped?
Valorian.
I got skipped then.
Did you get skipped?
Yep, Valerian went twice without me.
No, Valorian didn't go. Valorian got attacked.
Oh, got it. Okay, you're right.
So that loops us back to the top of the order, so it is your turn.
That's what I meant. All right, so all I got is one level 1, so Magic Missile it is on this brain. This is the last one. That's 6, 7, 8, 10. So 13 force damage.
You see, as you strike this brain, it's the glow around you is getting noticeably fainter.
Nice.
And the flashes of itself permeating your mind with each strike seem to be weaker.
That's what I got.
Oh, that's not even a save. Oh, shoot. Just checking this. The other brain targets a creature within 120 feet of it with which it has a psychic link. Enemies of the elder brain within 10 feet of that creature take 3d6 psychic damage. There's no save here.
Good times. Who's he targeting?
Anybody within 10 feet of the elder brain, or not the elder brain, the mind flayer, because he's psychically linked with the mind flayer. So there's going to be a blast, poof, just a pulse. And you guys are each going to take 5.
Who's within 10
I don't think we're all within 10 feet of the Mind Flayer right now. The Mind Flayer went and attacked Valorian, right? And sucked his brain out. And none of us were standing anywhere near Valorian.
Because we're in the corner. Me and
All right,
Leo
where are you, Laurelon?
I charged towards the Mind Flayer on my first turn. So I ran over to it. And I was trying to fight it. The other two ran over to the edge.
Actually, then you guys...
Valorian stayed at the bottom of the pit.
Yep. Nope, you guys are actually... Nobody takes the damage. I mean, it was only 5, but nobody's going to take it because he's kind of at the center, so that would put you outside of that 10 feet.
Cool.
So that was the Elder Brain's legendary action.
I like it.
I need from Isafino.
Yep.
I need a saving throw, and I'm going to tell you what it is.
All right.
It is a wisdom saving throw.
That is a 1.
Well, then that is going to be a fail. So here's what happens. Around your head appears a twisted crown of jagged iron.
Nice.
And your eyes glow with madness as you are now charmed by the Mind Flayer.
All right.
Wait, are you an elf?
I am. I'm a half-elf.
You have advantage on saves against
Oh,
charm.
good call.
I do. Good call, man.
By ancestry.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let me roll this. That is an 11 plus, you said wisdom? So that's plus 4, so 15?
No way.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, okay. So, you got a 15, you said?
I did.
I got to check its save DC, which is a 15. You resist as this jagged iron crown starts to form and then shatters.
Oh, goodness. Good call, Laureline.
The Elder Brain is going to take its actual turn.
What?
Well, it was a legendary action that it did. Let's see if its blast recharges. It does not.
You guys have 50 tabs open like I do?
Nope, you can't. It can't do anything. I was talking to my elder brain. You can't do anything, brain.
I have all these spell tabs open, trying to keep everything straight.
I've got like 3 books and my notes in front of me as I'm dodging between them or jumping between them. So,
I closed out all mine.
The other brain, the other brain can't do anything. So it is back to Aaliyah.
So Aaliyah saw the crown beginning to form, and she looks kind of nervously at Isifino.
I kind of shake and say, "It's all right. I don't have any spells anyways. There's nothing it can do."
Even so, she disappears.
Good
And
call.
you said we're like, how far up above this elder brain are we?
60 feet.
You see her appear about halfway down
Nice.
and then drop. So I'm going to fall 30 feet. And I'm okay with that.
It's mushy, right?
Okay.
Do I make it an acrobatics to see if I can...
Well, are you gonna like do like the skydiving thing, or are you gonna do the skydiving torpedo thing toward it? Are you trying to
You
sacrifice?
can land in the
landing
liquid.
on
It's
it.
like a
I'm
pool.
landing near it. I do not want to land on this thing. I have no
Oh, so you want to
inclination of
land
getting
near
to
it?
Yes.
Okay. So you're falling 30 feet.
Uh-huh.
I will let you make an acrobatics check. This is going to be a high DC.
I do not make it.
You take 17 points of bludgeoning damage.
What?
There's a snap as her ankle breaks, but she stands up anyways. Coming to her feet.
As you
slowly.
just your entire skeletal structure is just reverberates as you hit.
Yeah. That did not feel good.
So I assume you cast a spell that was an action.
Yes, I cast Misty Step.
Okay.
That's a bonus action.
Oh, is Misty
Oh
Step
yeah,
a bonus
that is a
action?
bonus action.
Oh, it is.
So
I have
you
so many
have an-
tabs open. I hadn't read that.
So you have an
so-
action.
Now that I am close to this, I cast Burning Hands.
Hell yeah.
The brain needs to make a dex save.
Man, another 4.
Heyo. And ooh, he will take 13 fire damage this time.
I'm going to call that close enough because it actually only needed 14. And that takes it to 99, but the residual burn. So I'm going to steal from Matt Mercer right now and say, how do you want to do this?
So Aaliyah has the one ankle bent horribly, and she stands up and she manages to kind of put her hands in that formation, and you hear it start to sizzle, and the water around it begins to boil, and it dries up slowly.
Nice.
As that happens, the Mind Flayer, Valorian's brain matter still dripping from under its tentacles, screeches audibly, not in your heads, and green fire shoots from its eyes as it collapses to the ground, unmoving. Up above you, way up above you, Aaliyah, you may not even hear it. But the others, Isifino and Laurelan, you hear above you. Several children starting to murmur, some of them starting to cry. You hear Eliana cursing under her breath, but audibly enough that it trails down to you as she's like, what the bloody hell? How did I get here? The children!
I'm gonna run to Valorian if I have a chance. Is he any chance of survival here?
He has no
No.
brain. He has no brain in his
Yeah,
skull.
no.
God damn it.
The
No,
top
I'm
of,
like,
the
I'm
top
like
of his
negative 84 points.
the top of his skull is missing, and it's hollow inside. So, you, Aaliyah, Isafino, and Luralan have taken out an Elder Brain. Aaliyah, from where you're at, you actually see that there was some illusory effect that was making it appear larger than it was. It's actually not a very big brain. You suspect that you've taken out a regional Elder Brain in the city, but based on the reactions of the children above, you have succeeded in freeing, for the first time in a year, a portion of the city. Somewhere up above, a bell begins to toll. And that's where we're going to end.
Nice.
Nice.
I didn't even plan on having you guys fight the Elder Brain. You weren't supposed to make it that far.
Man, that was good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was your guys' actions and just deciding to say screw it and just keep running through the dangers.
Aaliyah had a good man. As soon as you said that...
the Featherfall was...
Yeah, the Featherfall was great. And as soon as you said that you were worried about what she was doing, that did it.
You were never supposed to make it into the basement.
5e characters are so resilient.
I apparently play very tactical casters. I don't usually play casters at all, but apparently I have very tactical and appropriate spells, and
Nice.
Well,
now you know.
that was a lot of fun. The
was
first ever Wizards at Large
Sweet.
in my as yet unnamed setting. 3 of the 4 of you survived, but I feel like Dwight doesn't mind that Valorian died a gruesome death.
I'm used to you killing me, Jake.
So, thank you to everybody that tuned in. We had a few viewers
Thank
throughout
you, man. This is great.
throughout the stream, and I'll try to get this up on YouTube relatively soon. But I want to thank Dwight, Taylor, Leo, and Alex. Does anybody have anything that they want to plug? YouTube channels or Twitters or anything like that?
Nope.
If you
Silence.
Y'all plug something. If you're in the Atlanta area, go ahead and join the Metro Atlanta Geeks. Pretty good group. That's all I
Okay.
got.
Nice.
maybe
And-
next time I'm visiting family, I'll come find you.
Yeah, for real, man.
Yeah, I'm from
Awesome.
Atlanta originally
Sweet.
too, so
Oh, I went to school there.
Fantastic.
look at all us
I've driven through there.
connections.
I'm driven through there.
So, thank you again, everybody, for playing. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. This was an interesting experience and exercise for me as a DM as well. So, thank you for tuning in. This has been Mini Terrain Domains, MTD&D, Wizards at Large, Mind Over Matter. Be sure to check out the other shows throughout the week on this channel. Crafting, video games, D&D. It's all going down right here. I've been Jake, and this is MTD&D, as I drop my mouse. The least graceful exit. Bye.
Nice.